Yo, what's up? Welcome to Plat, Jett and VALORANT episode 90, the big 90. We're getting close to triple figures. Got ourselves some good guests here. No Bren, so that's always a positive. No, he's flying back from the UK at the moment. We got Mimi, we got Balla, we got Wyatt, of course, as well. And Mimi, you've been really big into Splitgate recently. Are you going to leave the Valorant scene and go over there?
There's some big Splitgate news, guys. Splitgate Pro Series is coming back, and it's brought to you by Prime Gaming, the Prime Gaming portal of the match. And there's orgs now. It's great. It's huge. I'm done with Valorant. When are we starting Plat Chat Splitgate?
I do love Prime Gaming. Yeah. As soon as I hear Prime Gaming, what? My ears just perk up. Sub money.
Free skins.
Tons of your money is primarily your income comes from Jeff Bezos.
It really does. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, that is true. The capitalist structure is impossible to escape.
There is no morality. We're all seared by it as well.
But anyway, Cryocells is joining the XSET Splitgate team, so hopes for XSET in this group stage. Looking slim. This is so fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. Okay, there's been a patch. There was a patch. It's out. There's chamber nerfs. They're reducing his trips down to 1. What the fuck? I haven't seen a single person that likes this change, actually. I've seen a few people that are like, well, you know, it puts him kind of in the duelist position, etc., etc. But I mean, the dude is just, I don't know. This just takes away what makes him information based.
Yeah, I think they're perhaps too much wading in the sewage of semantics over what is a sentinel, what is a duelist. This is going to make him less like a sentinel and more like it. But I feel like that's just kind of all unnecessary when you're trying to focus on the actual problem at hand, which is that he's too fucking good, and you need to make him less too good. Chamber's the highest pick agent in the last NA qualifier. I don't know if you want to show that on VLR card, but he's in like the 70%. And ahead of Jett and Sova.
Yeah. And that's pre-nerf Jett. That's not...
pre-nerf Jett. Chamber is just being played on every map now. The only one where his pick rate is kind of low is Ascent. I believe every other map is like 80+%. And of course, like Breeze is super high. Those kind of maps, right? Icebox. Chamber is just... It's clearly too powerful. The escape mechanic is way too strong on defense. You see it in every Icebox game. Chamber peeks B main with his free Deagle out, one of his free guns.
You mean his free Guardian?
Yeah, well, it's a free Guardian, right? So he has his free Guardian out, waits for someone to peek, and then they either get a kill immediately and the round is 5v4, or they're just standing there getting info, or at worst, they get away for free. And if there's an enemy and they miss, it's just so strong.
But this doesn't actually affect that. What it does is it tethers you more to holding angles rather than being able to play around the map a little bit. And honestly, he did have some of the strongest map information out of all of the Sentinels. You think about Killjoy, she's got turret and alarm bot, but the way in which you want to play is, it has to be tight to you. It can't be spread across the entirety of the map. And Cypher's got trips that you can jump over or duck under or updraft or whatever. Like, there's so many ways of being able to... And, it's not even like line of sight. That you just see them there and you're like, well, I'll just not walk into it then, I guess. Whereas the chamber ones are really powerful if you put them in the right places. It's very difficult to get a flank off unless you're like a flanking Omen or a Jett where you can try and smoke them off.
Meta. It's here. Finally. Smoke the trademark. I don't know. I think that he's obviously incredibly oppressive. I don't think this changes it. I think it's maybe a nice thing that the flank trips are slightly less powerful, because it is clear that he had the best attacking side, just push forward a little bit, stake your claim on some space, and just go wherever the hell you want, because his global utility is just sick. But it's still, the issue is the rendezvous. The issue is the free Guardian and the fact that he can just get forward for info, get away, no problem. I think that I don't know. They realize that he's OP, but I think they're just taking the wrong approach to change it. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I don't think it'll hurt his pick rate, but I also don't think it's enough. So I don't think it's bad. Don't think it's good. It's a change. Smile.
Well, I actually want to read this quote, though, from Jay Watford and Dan Hardison, because it is, you wanted to gloss over this very quickly, but the people at home, they fucking love arguing about what is and what isn't a Sentinel. They've got a Sage in their comp. They're running double Sentinel. And meanwhile, I'm getting baited by this for the 24th time in the co-stream. Guys, this is not the fucking same as running Killjoy Cypher. Anyway, can we read that paragraph a little bit, Kurt? Because they're saying, when we think about the Sentinel role, and this is not me speaking for me, this is me speaking this quote about what Riot is thinking.
Right. This is John Riot right here.
This is John Riot. We think about its overall ability to keep map control and defend space. We believe that Sentinels should have many options and methods to control and defend, whether it's through Sage's reactions, blah, 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 blah. It's important to carve out strengths and weaknesses for Chamber in the roster. If you take him for his weapon arsenal and his disengage, his rendezvous, you should feel as if you're giving up a strength, like traps or stall, that his peers excel at. As usual, all eyes are now on the Chamber changes, we'll adjust him, etc. So their argument here being that he shouldn't be great at everything. He should have something that he's given up, and he's just, the rendezvous is so good and so core to how you play him that they might as well get rid of some of the other part of his kit that's more standard, that's more informational based.
See,
the logic makes sense.
My thought would be, I would like to see whether he has one or even two of the trap wires. I think that it would be a better change for them to make them like Killjoy, where it has a range, but make the range smaller than Killjoy's. So if his traps are enabled, he has to be quite close in the vicinity, which can then lend the other team to, in some situations, knowing where about the Chamber might be playing on the map. So you can expect that there will be man in off angle ready to TP, rather than he can cover one side of the map with the traps and he can just be in a totally different place playing an off angle.
I like that adjustment, actually. It makes sense.
I'd like them to figure out the geometry of all that, though, because he's fucking setting his rendezvous to TP and making sure that he has to be in range. I think that'd be really tough, actually, to play in.
You could just swap him and Killjoy, though, couldn't you, essentially, and like revert the Killjoy kind of situation?
Killjoy infinite range,
on top of having your TPs too, so you know.
So you're saying like it's too much like visual clutter and too much to think about to be like, we have a range on like literally what, 4 different items on the map? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, exactly. I mean, well, it's not like visual clutter. That's not the thing that I'm talking about.
Like
I'm talking about the practicality of running those setups.
Yeah,
becomes difficult and restricts him, and it might be good. Maybe that's good, but I would just argue that that's not the direction I'd like to see the agent go.
Well, thankfully, none of us are in charge of it, so this is the direction it's going to be. Is just one little trippy boy on the floor, which is called a trademark. I think a good nerf to him actually would be that he has to file a trademark application every time he wants to get his gun out, and that way, you know, you've just got months of paperwork before I see any kind of fucking output in my game. Why do they call it that? All right, anyway, fucking, I'm getting booed out of here. Is there anything else in this patch? 4.0. Stop throwing stuff. You're only ruining your own play. You're breaking your own camera. We didn't pay for that.
You're in a new white box, right? This is a different white box than the old white box.
A very small, tight white box. Yeah, I'm stuck in one of the new bedrooms in my new house. So yeah.
Do you still have a wine cellar in that house?
20-room mansion.
Not yet. We have to install it when we finish the basement.
Okay.
14-car garage.
Balla really do be balling out of control. What else here, huh? Fade, the Nightfall.
Visual change.
I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what ability Nightfall is, but it's the ultimate. Apparently it's the ultimate.
Right, of course. No, I knew that.
No, just work for VCT. Okay, I'll call it the ult. I won't call it Nightfall. Okay, so some visual effect changes. Sweet.
There's nothing else in this patch.
There's like an observer change where like they can just toggle the scoreboard now, which is like nice, but no one but observers will give a fuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
They took out the line. There was an actual line that said there's more stuff that we changed, but it didn't say what it was. In the esports, there used to be a line that said more stuff adjusted and observing, but they took that out.
Yeah, because they know that no one cares apart from the observers who can just get in touch with them anyway, I suppose. All right, the big news of this week.
Holy shit.
Was old news
Holy
from
fuck.
like months ago. Rawkus has joined Sentinels. We should really do a back chat with that guy.
Yeah.
We should we should really clout
Run it
farm
back.
Sentinels and do some kind of back chat and see how they're preparing for Masters. Yeah, he's back, baby. After what? Public pressure on the buyout? Nope, the buyout just disappeared. So yeah,
Yep. Didn't have the buyout anymore.
Contract just ended.
Yeah,
Time to get him.
So I guess FaZe's contract with Rawkus has just finished. He became eligible just as a free agent for them to pick up without having to pay the buyout. So they were like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, he's worth it for free, which is still, I don't know, super weird situation. It's not like the team is going to be really thankful to the organization. Like, oh, yeah, no, really appreciate you paying that salary. They're still like, for fuck's sake, we could have done this ages ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, that seems about right to me. I mean, of course, it's going to help to have a coach. It should help them to have him in have another person involved, right? This is what everybody's been waiting for. I suppose the only question would be, is this what they need? Because when you think about Sentinels, I feel like they need a packing 10, Josh. They need someone with a military fucking background. They need Marine discipline on that team.
Yeah,
is what they need.
No, don't worry. Rawkus is like a surfer dude, and he's got all of those qualifications.
So I think, it's I don't know. I guess it's tough to find the perfect person, and maybe Rawkus, maybe he is, but it seems like there will be certain things that he will definitely be able to help with, but I think that there are other problems with Sentinels, at least it seems, that I don't think he would be the man to fix.
I literally feel like I'm just going to recap the same points we did the last time he joined Sentinels, where we were like, no idea. He doesn't have any coaching experience. He's never been a player that we've ever thought. What is Cloud9 doing with that tweet? What's Cloud9 doing? Horny baiting on main. Why are you doing it?
Egregious behavior.
How dare they, honestly? I mean, literally, I feel like we have this conversation like once a week. It's like, guys, Sentinels, what is the problem? Is the mentality in the team wrong? Are some of the players wrong? Do they need a new coach? Yeah, they probably do. But they have one now. It's just like, it's too soon to know what impact he'll actually have on the team, what impact he actually had. Is this something the players were like, we love Rawkus, his ass is huge, his brain is bigger, and we want him back in the squad? Or is this something where Sentinels was like, the guy's free, we'll grab him? I don't really know. We haven't had that transparency yet. So I suppose until we see how they do in VCT and we can talk to the players, it's just going to be like, all right, it's probably good to have another voice. How impactful is that voice? We'll see.
What was that? There was like a leaked coach trial process with Sentinels, right? Like a while back. Dude, it feels like Game
They were
of
like
Thrones.
making it like a social media circus when they were doing it. Weren't they?
Yeah,
They're like, it's official. We're trialing coaches.
Was that like the Sentinels players like leaking shit to try to get them to budge on Rawkus or something? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think it so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, I mean, this team still isn't, boot camping as far as I'm aware. Like, I haven't seen any conversations surrounding that. And then they, most teams at this point have a coach that's been working as a coach for a long time, and an analyst, and maybe even another analyst, a GM that's in that position. This is still not like, oh, yep, tick in the box. They now have all of the structure that they possibly need. This is just one step towards that. So hopefully makes a bit of a difference. I don't want to move on to the next topic though either, because there was more fucking stupid drama surrounding Sentinels this week as well. Did you see, like, dude, I'm ready for the clout. I'm ready for the fucking
finally viewership.
Zoms on stream. Zoms on stream has just been unlocked now that he no longer is like part of the active roster, just chirping back and forth at Shaz the whole time. I was getting live fed updates like I'm hooked up to an IV drip for the fucking the drama Tuesdays on Twitter. Yeah, apparently Zoms was going off saying he knows the reason that Sentinels are losing, and Shaz was like, "Oh well, why didn't you just tell me when you're on the team, dude?" etc. And then what I saw this morning fucking just put a wonderful cherry on top, which was Zoms was talking about how Wyatt had taken a portion of their prize money away and talked about it on stream and was like, I'm free from the shackles, I can leak the drama. And then the Sentinel CEO had to put out a message today saying, oh no, that was us actually, and that was a mistake. All good. It was a glitch. Thank you for addressing it. So Zom's on his stream just trying to drag Riot for like taking money out of their champions prize pool. And then Rob Moore, who's in charge of Sentinels, is like, there were certain expenses deducted.
Wait,
and
all this clout chasing was over $1,600? I'm not saying 1,600 is insignificant, but to like the fucking, to the amount of money Sentinel players make, that's like so funny to me.
Yeah, and I think that was 1,600 each, but I'm not sure. That might have been 1,600 overall. I don't fucking know. But yeah, apparently, again, there's some clear communication problem happening within this organization. If their players are going to Twitter instead of just talking to management and trying to get it resolved, just fucking bonkers. What's going on in this org anyway? But let's move on to the next topic. They're back. Whoa, the team's popping off.
I fucking love
Sentinels are back.
this sideshow drama segment. I had no fucking clue about it.
Dude,
This dude is, I know,
it's entertaining.
Just a clapping monkey with two cymbals for drama.
I'm on a co-stream trying to listen to Wyatt, but not really. And my chat's telling me all of this shit about some drama. And I'm just like, I must learn more. I'm getting sucked in. I'm like bald Keem at this point. No, that's never a good thing. Yeah, Sentinels, they've made it.
Yep.
I predicted them as my team that would absolutely 100% make it through the quals.
And they did.
And they did, but
Guys,
boy,
they
was
beat
my
Cosmic
butthole whistling.
Divide. They finally defeated a crew. They beat Dark Zero. They're tier 1 again, baby. Fucking Sentinels is back. Let's go.
They won the trilogy against a crew. I mean, there's so many games against a crew.
Yeah.
But they did it.
Dude.
Yeah, they played him so many times.
They did it. They won out in the lower bracket. They won 10 maps in a row, 5-0.
A classic Sentinels
Rawkus
lower bracket run.
The narrative is back.
Yeah.
The narrative is back.
What? Sorry.
The narrative's crazy. I was talking to the Accrue owner, the Accrue CEO at my Splitgate tournament. Crazy occurrence. He was at the Splitgate tournament, and I met him there, and we were chatting, and this was like right before the qualifier started. He's like, yeah, like 2 weeks ago, Konpeki just dipped and went off and went with Sentinels, and like I don't know, like apparently they had such little practice coming on into it, so that it was like giga close, and then they have a little bit more time to practice, and then eventually Sentinels win. Just the storyline of a generation, man. Accrue versus Sentinels. What a book to read.
It was an incredibly different series, though, when they lost to them in the uppers versus when they, beat them to qualify towards the end.
It was a stomping for that qualification game.
It was on one of the maps, yeah. But I wanted to try and like walk through some of the things that we'd noticed throughout the Sentinels run, starting with their bind. Because back when we were talking about them a week ago, we were saying that they basically had like 3/4 of a map in their pool. Like that was their entire pool, was just their bind attack looks really good, but their defense they just keep losing on. So I had this clip from, whoa, zoom in on the right hand. So just to show you guys like what Accrue were doing the first time around. So this was when Accrue beat Sentinels actually, and they came back from being, like 6-10 down, etc. And I just want to showcase some of like what Accrue are doing well, because in here they're breaking this like defensive trap play that Sentinels have got set up, and then Sentinels don't really have another game plan, and they break this fairly easily. They go through easy peasy, make it through. I mean, you can move up, and then this was happening frequently where the Sentinels players in elbow just swinging through the smoke. So looks pretty sloppy. Whatever. Okay, they end up losing this series. You can actually go on to the next clip now, Kurt, as well, which was just another example of a pretty poor defensive setup. The point being, though, they didn't really fix this bind to me. Like, actually, what I was watching from them, even when they were winning their games, and when they beat Accrue, for example, they didn't play bind again. It just didn't come up in the pool. And so this isn't necessarily like a major success story of Sentinels bind getting all the way back to being one of the best in North America. If you remember to stage 1, their bind had only been beaten, I think, by who was it? By Optic, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and then apart from that, they were pretty good. I mean, this defensive setup is cap. They've got the Sky inside the smoke. Shaz just walks through CT before the flash goes off. They double blast pack into Dapper's face again before the flash even gets timed. And their player that's just sat inside the smoke is the last one, actually, to send the flash. It just doesn't make any sense. But what they did do massively was improve their icebox to me. That was one of the big areas, because they had previously been removing that, which I don't know why they'd be removing that, because their comp looks fairly good. But this, again, from the first time when they played against a crew, and I didn't like the way that they were taking B here at all. What they were doing was, TenZ was just swinging. It was very easy to catch him out. And then when he actually played post plants, he overheated and he just went for way too much. And I've got a clip that comes up afterwards where he was reined in a little tighter, but also the utility usage for him was far better. This is on an anti-eco, by the way. And TenZ is like sneaking inside their Viper's pit to try and make a play happen. And then Shaz tries to hold the planter here, and they both just get whacked by pistols. And it's just sad stuff happening to let Sentinels lose the first time. Pretty brutal. But if you take a look at the much better utility from Icebox the second time around, this is the improvement to me, is what they've done in this department, where they're actually able to make the shoddy stuff that they were doing teamwork based in the previous one. They fixed it up a little. So here, they're doing the same kind of play again, where they're trying to take yellow control. They dart to clear. They smoke in front of TenZ, so TenZ can now safely cross over to yellow, so that they're not, they're actually clearing these areas properly with their utility. And then they get into a position where time's ticking, 20 seconds on the clock, and they're still able to get the plant down. They time the wall correctly, which they were fucking up previously. They wall up, TenZ is on top of the wall at the same time as a Hunter's Fury. The level of coordination was significantly better. And by the way, it's still only 8-8 against a crew, so it's not like they're wiping them away in this map. But the improvement was obvious from 1 week to the next here.
Yeah, they definitely were playing better post that first crew loss and when they were on the lower bracket run. The Haven map previous to this to Icebox was pretty excellent from them. I have to say Dapper was definitely on point for this tournament. I mean, as was TenZ, but yeah. I think Dapper's chamber performances were really strong. Was looking pretty solid on that. And I think their map pool makes a little bit more sense, at least coming away from that lower bracket. They finally stopped playing split. I mean,
yeah,
involving getting Icebox back into the pool and removing split
so necessary
is immense in its just on its own. It means that they are not just down a map in every series that they're playing.
They won over 70%, I think, of their rounds, or was it gun rounds? No, I think it was just overall round win rate was over 70% on Haven for this tournament, which is fucking crazy. But I thought that Haven performance against a crew, I didn't really take much out of it. A crew, it was like a week ago, maybe a bit longer than that actually, got 13-1'd by Nation Gaming as well. This team, I don't think they know how to play Haven. I just don't think it's a good map for them. Mm-hmm. They were just banking on the win on Icebox, honestly. So I was seeing them get away with all sorts of shit. There were tons of rounds where I thought Sentinels, doing their classic all play off the site post plant stuff, but they're still good. Obviously, you have to be fairly good to be able to 13-1 a crew. They're not pushovers, but they weren't challenged. This was not them playing against another good Haven team.
No, I certainly not. But still, I think a more promising map in their pool than what Bind was for them in week 1 or week 2.
They needed a map to go back to being a good map for them, because that was missing all. I mean, outside of Bind, which they didn't even get played on that much last season, they needed one of these maps to become strong again, because that was kind of how they really were good last year. They had Haven, they had Icebox to fall on a lot. And that just wasn't there this year so far. So for them to regain a little confidence on that map and play with the type of what they showed against a crew, they played it a bunch against Dark Zero. They played it. It's good. I think one of the things was that they weren't playing Icebox because they couldn't figure out, I think, how to figure out the roles on that map.
Yeah.
And now with Kampeki, it kind of alleviates that a little bit and allows them to ban split. I think last season too, they got really lucky with their group, not having anybody in that group who played split. Like literally NRG banned it, Optic would ban it. There's so many people who were just banning split that they never had to get challenged in the veto at all in that regards.
Yeah.
I think coming into week number 2 as well, like this is looking so much more comfortable for Konpeki and just the compositions compared to like stage 1 to stage 2. We're just like we're finally like getting close to like actually running meta comps for Sentinels, while still setting themselves up to make it work for tens. I think the role bringing in a lot of the KO, a lot of the Sky for Konpeki just worked pretty well with the team. And like, I mean, their roles were like giga fucked last season, and I think giving a little bit more flexibility, kind of pushing that controller role over for Sick, it's all working pretty darn well. Dapper continuing to lean into this chamber pick is looking solid. I don't know. I still have my doubts about Sentinels, but I think this change is definitely good for them, and they made it. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, they made it, but you mentioned at the beginning the idea that, they're back, they're a tier 1 team because they beat Cosmic Divide and Accrue and etc.
Yeah.
So when we're now trying to think about Sentinels' chances in the group stage, should we be in any way returning to those former ideas about Sentinels, or are they at the bottom still? Would you still consider them like a top tier 2 team at this point based on their performances?
I'd slot them around there. I think they haven't proven stuff. They had really close games against teams that old Sentinels would be cleanly beating. And I think they're still at a point where it's clear they're still they've gotten better and they've integrated Konpeki in a good way. I think there is still a ton of room to grow. You're still seeing some of those issues with synergy. You're still seeing some of those rounds where people like Tens are overheating and over pushing, and we're just mistakes that shouldn't be happening at this level. And they're in a group with some really strong teams that are very structured, and I think will really kind of test that style and shut down that play. They still have the player caliber to be able to pull off some craziness on occasion, but I would not temper expectations high for Sen in this group, especially C9, Optic, FaZe, Loom, LG. Like this, I will be incredibly surprised if they make it to playoffs out of these 6.
I mean, they could make it in the 4th position, no? I mean, I would obviously have Optic and Cloud9 above them, FaZe on current form 100% as well. Do you not think it's possible for them to, keep integrating Konpeki?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I think they could get above EG and LG. I think that's distinctly possible. But this LG team also, for me, has been looking actually really good through these qualifiers, and it pretty improved from what they were showing last time. I think it's possible. I think it'll be tough. And like, if I was looking at that like right now, I think EG, LG is a toss-up, but I think the top 3 teams are pretty much locked in there. FaZe, Optic, C9. With how FaZe is looking, I've really been liking what I've been seeing. They've been farming in tier 2. I think the changes they've made in the offseason have been great ideas. This team has a lot of tournament experience under their belt, and obviously we know C9 and Optic are great. Optic's the 2 seed. That's interesting.
I mean, I don't think this is ranked.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's.
Okay, this is just like they're thrown in there.
This is random.
I was gonna say like that would have been pretty funky.
Quite bizarre if it was ranked like that. Yeah. Do you echo those opinions, Wyatt, Balla, in terms of expectations for Sentinels being somewhere towards the bottom? They're actually. I think they're like at the bottom punching up now instead of being in any sense a big name.
I think they could finish in around the middle of the table, maybe qualify in like that 4th spot kind of thing, maybe 3rd.
But no one's sucking the juice.
I think it's dependent. I think there are a lot of areas where they can continue to improve significantly. So it's just a matter of them doing it. I mean, part of that, that's, you know what I mean?
That's the problem. They consistently were able to say, there's a couple things they could improve on. They could tweak this types of setups, but they never do, ever. When has there been really a significant improvement in a specific area with this team?
Well, I mean, last week to this week, I thought was about as good as they've shown.
It got improved from a team that had just picked someone up and was like half pugging it to one that maybe had like a few strats coming. Yeah, like it was still not impressive.
I don't think it's even specific areas either. I think it's just people stepping up and playing better, just in general, and that's always how they come by those improvements, right? When they lost to BBG, it was always 10 started playing better. It's almost actually finally learned how to play Astra. Like it was those types of things that were consistently the way that they're improving, and not some sort of actual change with the way that they think or the way they approach the certain maps or games or whatever. And I think that's what you're asking for, Wyatt.
That is definitely what I'm asking for. Though I do think there are also some individual improvements that can be made that still would make a difference. Like I think Sick played a lot better in week 2 than he did week 1.
But I don't want to see this team having to
like
rely
he can
on
continue
that.
to get better. So there are individual things that I think that they can still improve, independent of the team environment and the overall strategy improving, that will still push the team forward. But will that be enough to qualify, or will that be enough for them to have some close games and then they're in 5th, right? Or they're in 6th?
I feel like there's the team is where everybody's expecting them right now is they should be disappointing most, but they will have hype moments that will bring people back to level like, oh my god, Sentinels is coming back again.
Which is me right now after they beat a crew.
They're the perfect team to do a little bit of ball tickling in this next stage. They're going to be fantastic. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't give me the visual. But I think as well, they're not to be a map pool Marvin, but I do think that their map pool could be pretty solid, and I think that they're too reliant on the previous maps that they were playing at the beginning of this qualifier. Like, we used to be good on bind, let's play it again. Okay, well, on the bind previously, they had like sick rays alongside the 10s. It was a very different look like that they had on that bind. They've been way too reliant on the split for fucking ever. Someone needed to come in and tell them to stop playing. What? Is that the kettle on deck?
Why did,
I want my fucking tea, man.
Why did that not come out for the drama segment earlier? Pouring the tea.
I'm pouring the Sentinels. This is fucking Sentinels fans' tears that I'm drinking out of my fucking like vintage cat, weird old lady cat mug.
Wait, those aren't evil cats.
Incredibly strange. Also, the Sentinels' tears are all over with now. They're gonna oscillate firmly from week to week, I'm sure. Some weeks they'll be crying and peeing in the corner, and then some of the weeks they'll be loving it. They'll be celebrating.
I think that the hype is back, honestly.
You think the hype is back?
I think the hype is back. 10 straight map wins, 5-0 in the lower
10
bracket.
straight map wins
I think
against who,
I think the hype
who
is
did
back,
they beat?
Josh.
Who were the 10 straight map wins against?
Who was in that group? Like Dark Zero, a crew,
Sword,
FPX,
DZ, Cosmic Divide,
Fnatic, Optic,
Loud.
They were all in that lower bracket. The hype is back. I have a little. I genuinely. I don't want to be. Listen, I don't want to step out of line here. This is like topic number 2. I don't want to get too fucking crazy.
Okay, but you're about to.
But I have no. I have a minor amount, a small, sizable amount of a little bit of hope, just a little hopium, a little bit. Yeah, I started to see something towards the end of that lower bracket run, Josh.
No, I agree
I saw
with you.
The fire was ignited.
I genuinely thought they were just going to kind of bomb out to a crew in a similar way to the way that they had done the first time, and I didn't see that. I actually love this play though. I mean, again, Kurt just for some reason picking all the clips where a crew win. but
you gave me B-roll clips, and this is what you chose.
No, you're right.
Where are the good Sentinels plays, Josh?
The good Sentinels plays were all buried in a Haven game where a crew gave up the ghost. so that's where they were. Let's move on to our next team, though. 100 Thieves. I didn't.
We're done. No more.
Sorry, what did you have?
I was just gonna say, I think this is like a top 3 Nerd Street Weekly team.
Okay, thank you, Mimi.
That's my really important final comment that was worthy of cutting off your impressive hosting.
Thank you, no problem at all. Let's talk 100 Thieves next. It was Wyatt and Vansilli had them as their locks to make it, and they were correct. 100 Thieves, they qualified. It wasn't that close. They looked better than they did last week. It looks like it's consistent improvement from week to week. And I'm not going to say that they keep building their map pool larger and larger and larger. They don't look insanely deep, but they look deep enough to be able to get their good maps into these games against every opponent and then win on them. So that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, they lost the one map to NYFU when NYFU had a pretty great approach on split, where they had lost 100 Thieves the previous qualifier week. Then they came back and went crazy on their attack side. They had a really, really good showing here. But then on the next 2 maps, 100 Thieves just brought it back. I mean, they have I think these 3 maps in their pool definitely they look like they're top 3 coming away from this week, and then also their Fracture looked promising, though I think they only played it once in this tournament against Sonics, and they still had a really solid win
against them as well, though.
Yeah, they had a really solid win against Sonics there, so they've got like 4 maps that look pretty solid, and I do wonder if there aren't other ways to potentially optimize their split, because I do think it's possible that the optimal comps for this team are still going to be like this Fracture one, where Austin is playing Raze. I mean, this was just a great round execute against Sonics. Their executes are just so well coordinated at the moment. From both the standpoint of the utility usage and the timings with that, but also how good they are at supporting each other. Specifically, Will and Asuna are so good on the site execs together. I mean, sometimes Asuna's kind of the guy in first, and Will's like, holy shit, I gotta catch up. I gotta dash in and help this dude. And then other times, Asuna is just always there right behind him when he's dashing in, because he's just such an aggressively minded player. And that's one of the advantages. I think, of having Asuna on flex. Aside from just the like, well, these are the agents he should be good at. He'll be able to play Raze and KO and the other flex agents, and that'll be better than his Jett. But it puts him in a position where, as the duelist player on the team, you can just always knows that Asuna is going to be right there with him on all of the site execs. He's just never getting baited. Like they're just always in together. And then, after that, you have like on some of the maps, like on Icebox, Stellar is really involved in the Icebox hits. Like if you want to bring one of those up, Kurt. Or, it'll be Bang coming in third. But like the trading on these executes is just so good from the team. And I think that like on Icebox and Breeze, you just see in moments like this, like look at Asuna just take initiative. Like Will finds the pick lower, Asuna's immediately in on the rope, and they're just scaling off the back of that. And like Stellar swings, and then they immediately trade from. Like it's just so well played on these executes right now. And I think it really highlights how much these roles currently make sense for the team. And if they can continue to look at the lineup,
I know
he's been studying. He's been in the lab.
That's a lineup for back rafters.
An orange chicken lineup.
It is. That's an orange chicken plant
really
position as well. Asuna's been in the lab.
But I think that the more work they do on other maps and optimizing some of the comps, I think they can have a really deep pool. Like I think that I would love to see what they're doing with their Fracture comp with Asuna and Raze. Bring that over to Bind, and you can kind of 1-to-1 it, where instead of Stellar playing Sage, you can play Viper, and Derek can play Sky instead of Breach. And I think that that's a pretty solid comp over there potentially. They have options, and they have different ways to optimize. And I think that might even end up being may even end up being a better split comp where Austin is playing Raze, even though their split is good right now. But they have a lot of options. I think that the players are working well together. I have far more hopium than I do for Sentinels. A little bit of hopium there, extreme hopium for this roster. I think that it's working as intended, which is very, very cool to see.
God's plan, and by God I mean Sean Gares. It's working all according to plan.
Yeah.
That flexibility aspect that you're talking about in terms of like how Asuna can move with Will was so important to me. Just to see him be able to have his own agency on when he can push certain things. Like I was watching the split game against, who was it, a crew. He's able to do things, and he's just able to do things with utility that he has rather than have to rely on his teammates. It's a really good flip from what they were last season, and it kind of feels a lot more like the Steel days, where they have a lot of support for him to go in, but just obviously he's on a different role entirely. So that's really, really cool. Great early utility. I can't wait to see what more this team cooks up, because they look really good. They look probably, I wasn't able to really watch week 1 as well as I could have because I was moving, but out of the teams that I've watched this week, the best.
They looked really good. Their executes are so well put together. I think the player that was most exciting for me coming into this roster was Bang, obviously, because we heard in the previous 100 Thieves project, this guy has a lot of potential. I've talked to him. He's a good player. He has a good head on his shoulders. The communication, he's an active voice in a team, which you don't often get with a player his age. And I think the controller role has really made sense for him slotting into this roster. He's able to be really supportive for the team while also still having enough agency that he can still make those plays, can still show off his individual prowess when he needs to. I think everyone in this squad is really being shown to kind of have the flexibility that's needed if that's what they want and if that's what they need, and being able to kind of have those different looks is a really great change up. And I don't know. I don't even know if it's hopium to say that I think this team is going to do well. I think just if they stick to the form they showed in these qualifiers, they have a lot of potential.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And of course, the goal for them should be, and the goal for a lot of teams actually, as we look towards stage 2, is going to be to accrue enough points to be able to get at least a shot at LCQ, which we'll talk about later, some of the teams that missed out. But for some teams, your year is essentially over at this point. It's only third-party tournaments. And for 100 Thieves, because they did so poorly the first time around, the hopes of this organization and Nadeshot not firing everybody is going to come down to how well they do in stage 2 and how many points they can actually get.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful there's a CLOUT org that might do well. We need at least one of the CLOUT orgs in the playoffs.
TSM are not doing that badly either.
We got four. We got
FaZe.
We got Sentinels.
They're back.
TSM 100 Thieves. There's just... It just puts a smile on my face. The amount of content, the amount of clout in these in this tournament, it's great.
I rest easy at night knowing that I get to watch TSM this weekend and I'll have unlimited viewership.
It's also good for another reason though, because next year we're going to be heading into franchising. Probably a lot of these bigger organizations are going to be involved. And if they had all just bombed out now and no one's talking about them at all, that would have been a shit situation.
It really would have been.
When 2023, it's like, whoa, Sentinels, TSM, 100 Thieves. And you're like, dude, I haven't seen those guys for 6 months. Who Megalol?
So much clout.
It is incredibly good for the scene that they've actually turned the ship around at this point and they've all managed to make it through.
Yeah.
There's one thing I also really wanted to point out with this scene before we move on, Kurt. If you could pull up the one tweet I sent you with the stats of the week 2 quals for NA from Willminder on Twitter. I just wanted to point out how high up multiple of the 100 Thieves players were. It was like Asuna was the second highest rated player. And then a little bit down from him was Derek, and then Will was there below those two. And I wanted to point this out in relation to some of the other stats that we've seen in regards to teams and how reliant they are on their duelists having high ACS. The two teams at Iceland that, by the numbers, were the least reliant on their duelists were Optic and Loud. That is a direct part of the reason why they are the teams that are in the finals. I mean, it's one of the reasons that we see Gambit or M3 champions being so consistent is that their whole roster, they have extreme depth. They're never relying on just defo. And this 100 Thieves team has a lot of depth. They're not ever really going to be reliant on Will. When you have Austin on the team, when you have Derek on the team, when they're playing on Icebox and Stellar is top fragging some of the games, or putting up 20 on Chamber on that map, having good performances on Breeze as well. And then you have Bang on Smokes. I mean, this roster is just not reliant on any one element, which is an extreme departure from the 100 Thieves of the past, where they were so reliant on Asuna finding entries.
Yeah.
This team is just not relying on any one player. They can all just be consistently good, and then there will be moments like you saw in this qualifier where on day 1 Derek just went crazy in all the games. He was just putting up crazy numbers, and he didn't even need to do that. They would have won anyway, but he was just going nuts. And then the next day, Austin was going nuts, and he didn't even really need to. They probably were going to win anyway, But they have that depth on the team.
Those stats through the open qualifier last season were very good indicators. If multiple of your players were highly ranked in rating or ACS or whatever, specifically also cast, if they had a lot of players within the top 10, this was V1 in the guard. That showed you that these guys were actually going to be really, really good throughout the actual group stages, and that turned out to be true.
I mean, This
That's
is the
promising.
second qualifier too.
But they stomped this time around. So
Yeah.
just to look at those, it is a little bit of cautionary statement here, I think, as well.
I just want to make a quick point, just because we had that B-roll up. This Giovanni guy that a crew picked up as a replacement going in, he is he was looking really, really impressive throughout these qualifiers, and the roles that he was picking up are really impressive. I don't know. I like a good tier 2 player that's fucking just a ranked demon that like comes into a
steal him for your
position
Splitgate tournaments, okay? Mimi?
I'm
I know
taking
where you're
him.
going
I'm
with this.
taking him. I'm signing him to my Splitgate org, man.
I would like
meets the Accrue CEO. Let me just say something about Giovanni in the 100 second.
I'm schmoozing.
The deeper,
I'm
darker
schmoozing.
link.
I'm talking to CEOs. I'm talking to business people. I'm making moves. All
So
right.
you're gonna take a break for 2 months like Wyatt and become almost GM of Accrue.
Can you talk to the CEO of Accrue and tell them not to play Breach on Breeze anymore, though? Because you're bigging up Giovanni, and I did really like the Chamber, but the Breach on Breeze, I'm not on board.
The Breach on Breeze was a little troll.
Anymore.
It was a little troll.
It was a little troll.
I'll give that one.
Let's talk Evil Geniuses.
My GM
oh, sorry.
I thought that would resonate with you. Just a Breach fault line down halls, you know, just
not a chance.
Just down
not
halls.
a chance. It gave me bonker running it on Icebox kind of vibes. I'm not about that life. Okay, EG. They made it through. They are repeat back into the group stage for VCT. Yeah, they're going to be involved in stage 2 as well. This is a retooled roster, and I actually like the roster changes, and I think it's given them staying power. I think that old EG roster probably doesn't make it back this time around, and we just considered the fact that they made it through previously a bit of like they happened to be good enough to make it in at the time, but not enough to stick around. But these changes, I think, have made a bit of a difference. And Wyatt, you've been saying that Boostio's got the Overwatch 2 buff as well.
Boostio definitely did have the Overwatch 2 buff. All of the Overwatch players went crazy this last weekend. Ever since Overwatch 2 has come out, the Overwatch players have been going fucking nuts in Valorant.
Derek, Baby Bay, Corey.
Yeah, Boostio.
Zachary played pretty well.
Zachary was good on Accrue.
Boostio.
They all started going crazy after Overwatch 2 came out.
Yeah.
It's actually just facts. There is a direct correlation.
They're not worried about their jobs anymore.
No, exactly. Yeah, this was a pretty strong run from EG, though. The 2 overnights at the very end, a nice way to cap it off. A crazy series of individual performances from Jogimo, who'd been playing a lot more Jett than he was in the previous one, where Boostio was playing a lot of the Jett, but now he saw a lot of Boostio on Chamber, and that duo was just...
Yep.
That duo was fragging out. I mean, Boostio also picked up IGLing on this team.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know
he's
that.
IGLing and
instead of
fragging
com?
out playing. Yeah.
They picked up an IGL free
Comms
agent.
not calling?
I believe Boostio said in
That's pretty sick.
he posted in a recent tell-all tweet about
Yeah, he's calling.
about that he's calling for the team, which is quite an interesting development
From the chamber position as well.
That's why they're the
interesting,
geniuses.
yeah.
That's why they're the evil geniuses.
I mean, I think it was a little bit genius and probably a little bit evil to have Jorgamo play Jett as well. This guy just looked a bit shaky, honestly, on the flex position during stage 1. I thought I wasn't. He had some moments that were impressive, but overall, nothing that was really nothing to really take home or write home about, I suppose. The Jett has added so much to him being able to find impact in more of the rounds, and he just looks more comfortable with how he's playing positions, how he plays off his utility, just finding the fights on his own tempo, and it doesn't seem to have stopped Boostio still having a ton of impact from Chamber too. It feels very much like you're getting double the fragging power because you've just found the ability to pull Boostio away to a role he can still have really high impact on. Got another good Jett.
Yeah,
we got like such like a tasty like little appetizer of this because right at the end of the group stage, like the last like weekend of play day for EG, they made the switch back then and had Jaw playing on these roles, and he just popped off, and they pushed some teams that they probably shouldn't have been like close to beating to the limit, if I'm recalling correctly, when they made that change. Now they come into stage 2, completely switch on over, kind of rebuild around switching him into this role, give Boostio a position where he still found just as much value, I feel, if not more value, especially considering the fact that he was calling as well, and give that freedom to Jaw. EG, in previous iterations, it was kind of just like, does Boostio have a game? Like, whenever they found their upsets, whenever they were finding wins, it was just like, okay, Boostio had a game, someone else stepped up around him maybe, but it feels like this new EG roster has so much more potential for multiple players to have those moments, and the calling looks more consistent, and I'm happy. I'm pleased. They're geniuses, man.
You're commentating their successes over the top of Ban just styling on them.
Well, this is actually supposed to be an example of how the flexibility that you're talking about, Josh, about Jagamo being able to play at his own tempo can sometimes cost them, in my opinion. And while it was fantastic for the most part, there's a lot of instances where, because Jagamo has such skill, same with Boostio, they go a little too fast, a little too crazy. This is another example where they lose a 1v4 against Brock on Ghost on this Icebox map, and it's Boostio and Jagamo popping off. And then they get into this post-blind situation where Boostio and Jagamo want to just end the round. And because of that, they're so far spaced away from anything else that they end up losing. I mean, you just watch how Brock wins this. Nobody's there to trade. Jagamo jumps on him with a shorty, which is a fine play, but Boostio continues to run on him. And those things happen like pretty frequently because of the way that they're fantastic. They lost that round, even though it looks like they might have won in the end. But yeah, I mean, it was the Jagamo and Boostio show with very good support from the two new players, Apoth and Com. Like, they were fantastic. Apoth on the smokes was really, really good, creative in ways that he can control space, which is something that I really, really like to see when Omen players are able to do that and play for his team. So I'm pretty excited. This is a nice play from him as well, like being able to spot and be aware that somebody could have crossed based off the earlier trades, sprays him down, and then gets another really, really good TP. Like, these sorts of things you see often from Apoth.
I think this iteration of the roster is going to be more exciting as well. I think most people just either don't give a shit about EG or don't like them as an org in Valorant, if I'm being honest. And the previous roster was fairly successful. I mean, making, what is it, top 10 in North America if you made VCT stage 1?
I think they were ranked 9th.
Oh.
Right. So,
yeah.
But they also didn't have a very successful run in groups. And maybe they won't again, but I think they're going to be much more exciting for people to watch, and they're going to enjoy the games because the players are talented and they make fun plays. They go aggressive. They hit these big shots. They're confidence players. So,
and it feels like stuff makes sense. Like last season, it felt like they were swapping roles because Foe didn't want to, or who was it that didn't want to play Viper? It just felt like really weird. Foe was playing Sova in certain places. Dre was swapping all over the place to play Chamber in some cases as well. Just didn't really feel like that team had the selflessness to do what needed to be done in a way that made sense. So when you watch them, you're like, what the fuck are they doing? Even though sometimes they were good.
Yeah. Intriguing. Let us discuss then the Vansilli stocks, because they are through the roof. Ghost Gaming finally coming through. And by the way, I've seen... Okay, so just to set some context for people who may not have watched last week's episode. Okay. We had these two teams. We had to pick two teams that you thought would make it through. Myself, Connor, I think it was Connor, right?
Yeah.
Went for the bargain basement picks of, Sentinels V1, the on-paper favorites. They're going to make it through. Version 1, shit the bed. I guess we don't have a topic really discussing that, but, they didn't make it through. Vansilli went for 100 Thieves and Ghost Gaming. Ghost Gaming, who got rolled around in the first-time qualifiers, and as far as I'm aware, the only thing that was big about them was their scrimbucks. I mean, they've got a decent team.
The scrimbucks were huge.
But the scrimbucks were enormous. They were enormous. Yeah. And when Vansilli, someone tweeted at Vance and said, wow, you're looking real big brain now after Ghost made it through. And he said, thanks, I'm just out here watching VODs. And I'm like, bro, are the scrims? You watching the scrims? Because this to me is a big, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff coming to front and center now. Because, Ghosts are through. And this team is talented, but they've actually never really shown it before.
Yeah, they've had some more promising results in the Tier 2 tournaments, but I feel like they've always had up and down showings in the Tier 2 scene for the longest time. with really impressive talent on the roster. I mean, I remember we rated or like I can't remember if it was this or something, but whatever. Like rating Nismo as like a top 20 player fucking ages ago, because he's just been so good on this team for so long, but they have just been unable to put something together that could make a run in VCT. They were just getting some results here and there in the tier 2 like Knights Nerd Street kind of circuit. And they finally managed to do it with this latest iteration. I mean, they did add some high quality players for this iteration of the roster that we've been seeing now. It also probably helped that their team house wasn't getting robbed during the tournament this week.
Yeah, that is a good
that probably
point.
Assisted in their mental stability while playing the game. That they were at a they were at some kind of boot camp setup.
They were in Atlanta. They were boot camping. Yeah.
Yeah, they had the boot camp setup. There's a pretty good video actually, Kurt, of their winning moment.
I linked it.
Maybe talk to me about Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost Gaming's the fucking truth, man. I said like 2 weeks ago on the podcast that I had high hopes heading into stage 1. Or heading into stage 2 open qualifier number 1 for the NAVCT. They absolutely shit the bed then, but what was impressive to me is just the way that they rallied back. I think the roles in way the changes that have been made for this team, just while it's still sometimes a little bit convoluted, just like makes sense and put so many of these players in just a position where they can thrive. I think having like just the caliber of player of like Nismo, of a Proto, of Brock even, and none of them having to just be like that guy. This is a team where it's very much like a consistent, a conceded like team effort. And I think one of the biggest examples of that has been John Cutie. He comes into this roster kind of out of nowhere in a way from the tier 2 space and just slots into it really well, playing a couple different roles. In some of these clips, he's on the Sage. Sometimes he's playing on towards that chamber and it's working. Koala Noob again is proving to be someone who can be a star, but can also have a pretty high level of flexibility, playing in towards the chamber on occasion, flexing onto some other roles, and still being really fantastic when he does pick up that operator. I also think that the changes in towards these kind of patches have worked well for them. Obviously, the prevalence of chamber, they've been chamber abusers, and it has been working for them, as well as just kind of having a Proto back on towards this controller role. It's all just like we've seen these pieces be here and we've talked about them for ages, but it finally feels like they've clicked together and the coordination is there. And I mean, their run, sure, it wasn't against the craziest teams. They're beating BBG, they're beating NYFU, but still it's impressive opponents. It's respectable opponents.
Yeah.
And they did well at it and showing that they can kind of take that loss, have a tough week 1, rally back into it. These are all really good signs. Even when this team wasn't really that successful and was just kind of playing in towards tier 2, I always had a lot of faith in their coach. I think Kaplan has always had some good ideas. I think the compositions they've ran have always been like at its core pretty good and pretty like on meta, and they've been early to adapt. And I think they just finally found their groove, found the right couple players to slot on in. It's a team that the indications, at least for this qualifier, are looking really good. Brock is like a clutch demon. I don't know if I can like slot them in as being like they're gonna like top out their group and go absolutely insane, but they're finally living up to their scrim bucks, which just makes me happy.
Yeah, they seem like a very talented roster that can make some serious moves, and their group, I can't recall off the top of my head, but Kurt, if you have a chance to bring up the
they're
groups,
in like the Exet guard group.
Yeah, well that group should be significantly easier, I think. I mean, I don't want to be too confident about that because we haven't seen Exit, Guard, C9, for so long. Yeah. I mean, in theory, we have seen Guard recently, but it was in such a different circumstance that I'm not sure you can really take too much away from it. But this Group A looks a little softer to me. You don't really know what form Exit and Guard are going to be, and they're unlikely to be better than when we saw them in Stage 1. I think if they're going to trend in any direction, it would be down a little. And those are the big 2 teams from that group. So I think this team's poised to do a little bit of damage if they can really find that groove and dig into it and end up outclassing people on an individual level.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Also, I'm gonna here. Let me give you a narrative. Let me give you the psychological narrative, Josh, as we watch this legs clutch. The psychological narrative is also that I think Ghost, they have had the scrim bucks forever. They've had the player talent forever. But what they have now is that they finally they've gotten over that impossible hump, the challenge they could not face actually qualifying for VCT. And now they're mentally unlocked. They've achieved what they could not achieve before. You know,
and now they realize
they've broken down the psychological barriers.
I feel like you're like
perform.
a false guru trying to tell me how to like achieve nirvana through Valorant.
This is what JDM tells FaZe. This is what JDM's trying to tell him. No, but I'm serious. I think there is something to that because they have been stopped at this same VCT roadblock many a times when the hype and the scrimbucks outweighed the VCT performance.
Yeah,
and they've finally been able to do it. I mean, you could see in their reaction to winning how fucking much how much it means to them to have finally qualified. I feel like that's got to be a mental barrier that has been broken. That's my narrative, Josh.
I really like it. I think
Thank you.
You should take up a role, armchair psychologist. Do the what's the quote? what was the dazed tweet from this week?
Oh, the Game of Thrones family therapist living in the shadows.
Yeah, you really need to start doing Game of Thrones in the shadows from your armchair psychologist position. Yes. That's what you need to start doing. Yeah, let's take a look at this then. The final moment when Ghost qualified.
That's it. Cut the clip.
Oh, I said.
There's definitely some.
Wait, what is that like anime doll on Koala Noob's computer? Can we back up?
What are you talking about?
I can't see it.
Look.
Josh.
Look at that. What is that?
Zoom in.
Let's
get the
enhance.
Who is that?
I like the size difference there. That's the fucking Northman. Who's that?
That's Nismo.
That's Nismo?
Giga Chad.
Dude, the guy's...
Is it? I'm pretty sure Nismo, like, I've heard he, like, owns a restaurant, he has a family, he has kids, he plays Valorant competitive. This guy is a different animal. This guy's another beast.
Dude, Nismo is actually different. He's the only... He might be the only upcoming player that's like he's just an adult with a family and a restaurant, but he's also an upcoming player that hasn't gotten his shot yet. He's so fucking good, dude. And Nismo is he's just he's an excellent player on both like the entry and late round play. Plays a shitload of agents. He's so good.
All those years in the restaurant.
Glad he finally made it.
Being a dad finally worked out. Finally reflected in game.
And then on the other side of things, the full range on Ghost Gaming.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, for some teams, this is almost essentially their year over. Some teams still have a shot because they made a couple of points in stage 1. But if you missed out at this point, there are third-party tournaments happening after Champions. And apart from that, there's the tiny like 5K, 10K tournaments to play for. And a long break before there's anything of relevance where you can prove yourself again. For me, this is version 1 is the team that I'm thinking of because they performed so fucking well. They went undefeated in the group stage of stage 1. Then they bombed out in the playoffs basically, and have had again been like messed around a little bit with visa issues with Whippy. Didn't get enough playtime, presumably, to integrate him back in properly. And it seems like Zelsis was having some issues as well. And they have lost a lot of their matches recently. I mean, the most recent way in which they went out to Girl Kisses and Complexity is by far and away worse than anything that they've... any result that they've had all year. These are just a mile away from all of their other results all year long. Bit tragic, really. And I think I need to be corrected on this if I'm wrong, but I think they have like 35 points or something from stage 1 because they just bombed out immediately in the playoffs. So they didn't even get great points from like their top seed going undefeated in the groups. That was just group stage. It didn't really mean dick. So now they're in a position where they just are looking at other teams, and if anybody else does well at all, they're out of LCQ.
Yep. You're basically hoping that any of the new teams that got in, like Ghost, I guess is one of the few, and TSM,
FaZe, yeah.
fail. Oh yeah, and FaZe, like all of them fail enough. And how much do you even get for playing? Let's see.
What happens to Rise's
You get
points?
10 points.
Did
They go
those
to
transfer to
phases.
100 or 100? Excuse me, transfer to FaZe.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
they have
do
enough
they?
players to yoink them.
I believe so because the rumor is that they've signed Shanks too, right? And he's just sitting on the bench.
Wait, so they've signed Shanks on the bench to gobble up those 10 points?
Yeah, we heard there's been rumors that happened just so they could eat the points.
Well, it's not just the points. They also made it to round of 32 in the open quals first time.
Wait, what do you mean?
They skipped round of 30 to round of 32 because
they had the points from last year. They got buys.
They were
to round of
essentially
32 in the first open
Rise.
qualifier.
Exactly.
Right.
But why were they Rise if they didn't have 3 out of 5 of the players
Because they
at
had
that
the
point?
core.
Because they had
3 out of 5.
Superman and sorry, who's the other? I
Poise,
can't think right now.
right?
Poise,
Yeah,
Poise,
but then they
Supa, and
also
Shanks
had
on the bench.
Shanks on the bench, so they had 3.
But do they actually have Shanks on the bench, or is he just
We
sitting
don't know.
there?
That's what
fucking-
the streets
they
are
must.
saying.
Just on
Otherwise,
the
there wouldn't be a
Battlefire
round of
roster, I
32
guess.
berth for them.
Yeah,
They
but I
must.
mean, he could be signed up with their Battlefire. He might not be actually salaried for them. He might just
Well,
be doing
sure,
his
of course.
brother a solid for some.
They might have given
Yeah,
like
100%.
$100, a fucking like a Red Lobster gift
But
card to
if
come
that
sit on the
happened, then they
Battlefire.
have the 10 points. I mean,
Dude,
that's
Shanks, if you're watching, you may hold the fate of this team in the palm of your hand. I mean, if they get an inch away from qualifying for NALCQ,
Extort them for as much.
demand a big salary.
Get as much as you can out of them.
Fucking fleece them. Fleece them. Absolutely
That would be
squeeze them.
If he's the difference between LCQ and the year being over,
He actually could be.
I need 50 grand a week as a content creator.
I mean, that sounds like I'd love to be in that position.
It's
I'd
just
love to
crazy
be in that
too,
position.
because you have to think about what that means for franchising and whatnot.
I don't give a fuck.
You're just
I don't
fucking
give a
going
fuck.
crazy.
Get the bag when you can.
$1 million, please.
Get the bag when you can. What about some other teams? Oh, Balla, you had a point actually about how many points you actually get for stage 2. If you're looking at version 1 specifically, what kind of are they just essentially fucked, or is there some realm in which everybody below them bombs out?
The points aren't exactly released, at least what I can see on Wikipedia.
Oh, that's cool.
But from last season, you'd get 10 points for a 12th or 9th to 12th. So they'd need FaZe, they'd need TSM. Well, actually, no, it's a little harder than that because they'd have to make it at least 4th to overtake them.
Okay, but let's say hypothetically, last year it was the top 2 points teams qualified. If NA wins Masters 2, which obviously NA is the best region, will win that. So that's 3 people gone. Let's suppose it's the top 2 points teams, and then Optic wins Masters 2, and then that's 3 into champions. So then everyone else, the LCQ slots go down. And last time it was 8 teams at LCQ. So then there's 5. V1's making it. V1's in. They got this
It's
down.
fucking Mimi right now. Fucking doing math. Jesus.
Run the numbers on the Casio.
But also, you won't forget one thing. There's not an extra spot to the team that wins Masters 3 to their region or Masters 2. It's not a
It
thing.
just takes the
Oh,
points.
really?
Just disappeared. Just went away. It's gone.
That's bullshit.
I'm crying. I'm literally
NA
fucking
gets
sobbing
nothing
for
for
North
being on
America
top.
right now, man.
Yeah.
So fucked up.
Yeah, don't worry. It'll be Brazil that wins at Masters 2, and then
You're right.
you'd have to watch 3 different much lower quality Brazilian teams run their way through the tournament instead. So
Higher quality.
Yeah, but
Higher
there's
sure,
many teams
sure.
that
The
missed
roster
out.
shuffle.
yeah.
The roster shuffle, Josh.
Talk to me about some other teams then.
Knights. I mean, they had a
E1,
good.
Gen.G, Knights, Complexity, New York, fuck you, Nearest
No,
Airport,
okay,
Dark
so
Zero,
I mean, not
Sonic.
every team in the scene.
Every
When-
team.
Mimi,
I'm
when I said-
getting every team.
When I
No.
said just
We're
talk
not-
to me about some teams, I didn't mean just
No.
read off team names.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shedding a tear for the team that was made like 1 week before this
I am.
event and that didn't qualify.
Who is that?
I mean, like
NYC.
whatever, New York or whoever.
Oh,
It's like they. I mean,
Fury.
it's not a big. I mean,
Fuck,
I mean,
Clan.
it does suck for the players that there's no VCT
Girl
for the rest
kissers.
of the year. But you know, at the same time, dude, Ball, this is so sad. This is so sad.
Weeping for fart, Clan.
This is so sad.
So Mimi, tell me the team that you are actually, gutted that they're out for the year, or tell
One
me a
team.
team. Tell me a team that you hope is going to rebound, or their players are going to split up and become free agents. Sell me a story. Don't just tell me the name.
All right. Well, it's like a memorial wall. all the teams that have fallen. So we had to. I was just verbalizing that all so I can send it off to the engraver so I can hang up the fucking plaque in my office to all the teams that have fallen. But teams that I'm definitely sad about.
T1.
Let's talk about T1. Yeah, what the fuck happened to T1? T1 just like did absolutely nothing. Like they just giga bombed out of both qualifiers. And it's like they still have some pretty good players on that team, but they just sucked so bad this qualifier. And it's like, I think at this point, like T1 is gonna, there's no way T1 doesn't just like implode that roster. I know some of the Twitterites were talking about the fact that like maybe they just get rid of this whole roster and they go sign a Korean team because they'll have a better chance at getting in the franchise league if they do that. Like, I don't know, man. Something needs to change.
I think this org is already a lock for North America based on what T1's been doing since the beginning in North America, especially NSG, who's part of the same company. I don't think there's any chance that they go like, oh, yes, Mr. Riot, we'll go and run a Korean team for you where the viewership is tiny instead of taking our spot in North America after we helped prop up the North American scene for the last 2 years. So I don't think that'll happen. I think it's much more likely that they just nuke the roster from orbit and they start again for franchising. But does that just mean that T1 are just gone until then?
I mean, well, that's the tough question for the orgs that have gotten eliminated from VCT. Are you going to hang around? Are they going to hope that DreamHack have a tournament in the fourth quarter when there's supposed to be third-party tournaments?
But also, would T1 even get invited, qualify, do anything?
Yeah, I mean, are they going to hang around to play Knights tournaments and NSG weeklies and the NSG Summer Cup and stuff? I mean, maybe if the contracts extend to that period. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough position to be in, but you can certainly see from the org standpoint why they would just want to, at this point,
I feel like
just
if you're an org,
blow
there's
it
a
up and hit the
financial
reset button
incentive.
for
I think there's a
franchising.
financial incentive to just keep a team around so that when franchising hits, you can just hope you get your slot. Like, just keep a team. Doesn't really matter what the team is. Play your Mickey Mouse tournaments and hope that you stay relevant enough to get a slot when that happens.
I mean they're already in discussion with the teams though about their slots right now.
Oh my! What is? I didn't know.
Splitgate Pro Series, man.
Splitgate is huge. What the hell?
Yeah, it's massive.
Did you know Splitgate's blowing up? What is going on here? Mimi's in on the ground floor of the next big esport. What the?
I am. What can I say?
I did not. I mean, big Splitgate money's coming through.
Yeah.
I totally lost my train of thought. I don't know what the hell we were talking about.
Did they explode the roster?
Keeping
or not?
a roster for franchising.
Right. I mean, from the org perspective, I think you probably. I mean, at least for franchising, you're not going to keep the same roster to compete with, surely.
No.
Right. So they have to just hit the reset button eventually. I mean, it is a shame that this roster didn't end up doing much of anything post-help sewers. I mean, something mentally happened with this team after that, and with the following weeks of failing to qualify and have good runs in Tier 2.
No, that's TSM Academy. Where was it? Where was the sewers event?
Time ago.
There it is.
There it is.
The sewers event.
But since after help sewers, they were never playing at the level they were
2-0.
before. Aside from that match, aside from that one, that was a blip in what was otherwise a rough time in the Tier 2 NA scene for a few months. I think I don't know. I feel like something mentally just went off with that. That's a great logo. That is such a good logo.
We should do a logo tier list.
Oh, that is.
Yo, that's how we do our previews for future open qualifiers. When we look at a massive bracket, we just do a logo tier list. Yeah.
God, we should actually just do a pick 'em purely based on logos in the future.
God, that is so.
That's incredible.
That is so fucking funny. But I do think something mentally behind the scenes with that team just collapsed. I mean, whether it was
Dave's just got the tinfoil hat there.
I mean, whether it was the public pressure that came after the help sewer thing, where they were all, you know, the like young team getting a lot of scrutiny from a lot of people on social media, and you know the back and forth with like Steel and the TSM guy, and then after that it was just fucking they were never the same. They were never the same since the sewer incident.
Yeah. I can't believe they got brought up during favorite teams that missed qualification topic, though.
I was gonna.
I thought there was a remarkable lack of conversation around them for how badly they played. They just disappeared. They just disappeared into the ether. Just literal middle to bottom tier 2 team.
I was gonna say Knights because Knights had a solid run in the first. The Masters, whatever, first Masters stage 1, whatever the hell you call this. And they looked okay in these qualifiers. Obviously, they didn't look as good, but they still looked good. And Ban still looks incredible. Scuba's still incredible. So it's unfortunate that it's essentially done for that team for this year, and we're not going to see more of those two guys. I mean, that being said, for teams that are looking to restructure for franchising, I would definitely be thinking about let's build around those two guys and see what we can do for the franchise league, because they are crazy, and it's unfortunate that it's essentially done for them as well, unless there's some kind of, I don't even know if there can be a way with the math with the points that they could even make it. But I think it's unfortunate that it's done for those guys.
I think the only team I'm actually like crying over is V1. I think everyone else, it's like that sucks for them, but they're not teams that I really expected to make it. I don't think there was a world where T1 made it. I think it was possible for Knights to get it done, but I'm not horribly surprised that they didn't manage to make things back on in. I think V1 is the only like big shocker. Like, this is fucking crazy that it didn't happen, and it sucks that they can't play again, especially considering that like we had no Whippy for qual number 1, and that team has just been unlucky so many times with losing out on players.
You were just hoping that they bounce back after not.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
It's not even unlucky, though. They have committed to a player that is frequently, consistently having roster visa issues, and they must know that they're going to run into the problems again.
But they also made like their great run with him. But he's like, I think he's still like, I stand by what I said in saying that he's like probably one of the best Sentinel players we have in North America. The guy's nuts. Like, it makes sense that they're sending by him.
I think he was the best.
To be fair, it's significant issues. That's like, it's not just like random, oh, he has visa issues again. It's COVID was the first time where he couldn't do whatever.
There was COVID, and now there's a war. Like, it's not his fault.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's his fault at all. I'm just saying it's remarkable how much they're sticking by him, because those issues that are outside of Whippy's control are probably tanking their org's season, but he's so good they still want to stick with it.
I agree. It's just that I don't think that it's something that they could have even perceived. I don't think that it was like a fundamental problem with Whippy that he's consistently going to have problems. Right. It was just, we think we fixed the problems, and then
boom, there's a war.
Yeah,
that does change things. That does change things, of course. I also just wanted to point out before we move on that I think it's likely, as we head towards the rest of the year, that the organizations that don't have franchise spots are going to want to stay tight, keep their players, sell them for buyout fees, large buyout fees to the teams that are looking to have franchising. So they are going to be the ones that want to actually play in every tournament and build their stock. You know, a team like Version 1, if they aren't in active conversations or likely to make a franchise team, it makes best business sense for them to be playing in as many tournaments as they can, proving that the players are still nuts, that can dominate, etc., that they're better than some of the other teams maybe after they've had a couple of weeks, that their player quality is fantastic. The teams like T1 that have a bad team, but the org is likely to get in, they're likely to just blow shit up, go silent for months, and then rebuild a roster once things of relevance actually happen. So you might see a very different shift here in terms of orgs for business decisions, how they're interacting with the Valorant circuit over the next couple of months. And I think it might lead you to some decent inferences about who feels like they already have their foot in the door.
Yeah. That is a very good point.
Let's take a look at some predictions, shall we?
Can we take a break first? For a second?
Okay, we took our break. Wyatt, go pee-pee.
No, dude,
now...
don't pin this on me.
You were the one that asked for
Josh put a message in Discord that said, dude, we're taking a break. I want to stop and do my Wordle. So we all took a break so Josh could do his Wordle.
Yeah, the word...
And now we're back.
The word was...
What was it?
not going to say
Was it
Balla might wanna do
Valorant?
it. No, it wasn't Valorant.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Okay. Week 1 predictions. Week 1 predictions. We're on the cusp of week 1 right now. Oh, sorry. Dumb host alert. Missed the segment. Okay. Who's going to make the NA playoffs? Let's go for this one instead then. So we talked a little bit about this previously. We've got ourselves some groups here. Okay. So we've got like a little power rankings thing, but for the groups themselves, each individually. I like it.
Up.
Kurt's been hard at work in the content mines. He really has.
Yep.
In there with his pickaxe.
Out. Remember, don't mine straight down. That's how you
guys,
land in
this is
lava.
the first very important segment. Which one is the group of death?
Oh, dude, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, Josh. People are giving way too much B is the group of death talk.
No, it just is.
No, it isn't.
Why?
Because both teams have 6 awesome teams in them.
Oh, just
What?
the
No,
most
but-
incredible sycophantism.
I do think that Group A is, dude. People are snoozing on Group A though. I think they're snoozing on it.
Group
Josh.
A looks hyper competitive to me. Like
I
really.
think Group A is like the group of grave injury, but not quite death. It's like a level below.
Well, the
grave injury,
grievous bodily harm.
but you won't die. I mean, you won't just actually be deceased.
The
from
group
A.
of hospitalization.
So, what is a group of death? I mean, I don't, because it feels like
always have to be a group of
There
death.
always has to be one. It's a
There always
rule.
has to be one. There always has to be one group that we.
There's only 2 groups.
Josh, I need something to complain about.
Well,
I need something to complain
You're
about.
the one
What
telling
is
me
this
not
seeding?
to make
They
it.
made
Well, yeah,
two
no,
groups.
that's what I'm saying. I honestly think both groups are reasonably tough. Listen, NA, it's a stacked region. There's a lot. What?
Okay, yeah, keep giving me the talking points.
There's a lot of good teams.
Group B. I want to start there because it's easier to order, I think. Optic number 1, Cloud9 number 2. I'm not taking any input from you. Number 3.
Yep.
Who have you got at number 3? Is it just FaZe?
It's just phase.
Okay, right. Who's number
FaZe.
4?
Luminosity.
Does anyone want to make any bloody changes to the order that's already there?
I didn't think we were making changes. I
May
thought this was just
suggest-
like a test. I thought this was just like read down the list and like have some.
Like when I told you earlier, like when I said earlier, which teams are you sad didn't make it, and you just read down the list. This is not a reading assignment. You're not in school. You're not in a literacy class anymore. Mimi.
It hasn't been that long since high school. It's okay.
Sorry guys, I got caught up in the assignment. You know, I thought it was like popcorn reading, popcorn Wyatt. What's the next team?
What the fuck is popcorn reading? What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Some of our audience, the younger skewed out section of our audience is probably losing their shit though.
The audience will get it.
Someone's doing their fucking math test at the moment with one headphone in going, yeah, Mimi gets me.
Round robin reading.
What the hell?
It's like where you jump around the classroom and you say like popcorn and then you just fucking cold called someone's name.
Why is it popcorn?
I don't know, man. Because it's like popcorn. You're like
Literally
pop,
just
pop. You got to be a
me
different
when I'm
thing.
watching 2-1.
You're in
you can
maths
just, like-
class, little freckled man. You shouldn't be doing any popcorn reading. What are you popcorn reading? How to solve a quadratic equation? Just going around the class doing it?
Why is there fucking integrals in the background?
This kid is smart as fuck. This kid is going places.
Jesus.
He's having a panic attack when he comes out of school. He's trying to do all of his lessons at
Partial
once.
fractions.
Okay. What were we doing again? Does anyone want to make any changes to Group B? Is Sentinels
the only
actually the
thing
6th
is-
seed?
Guys,
Exactly.
no more humor. I'm done with the bit. I think Luminosity is 4.
Okay. No. All right, good. Josh, I
give up.
That's a good transition. No more humor. No more funny talk. Sentinels in 4th.
It feels like coke.
State your case.
It smells like
You
coke.
can't just say that. What is your case?
Smells like cope.
My case?
Yeah.
You want my reasons why?
Yes.
Okay. My reasons why are as follows.
On the line is that debate trophy up there.
You're gonna
Sentinels have a
steal his
coach now.
debate.
Rawkus is in.
Yeah.
He's signed. pen to paper.
Okay.
He's here. He's delivering much needed knowledge and at times maybe a little bit of harsh discipline to the team. Okay, when they need to hear it, Rawkus is gonna say it. Okay.
Okay.
And now that has to do with, first of all, the maps that they're playing. They're actively changing and they're bettering their map pool. Okay.
Yep.
They're getting away from what hurt them, Split, and going towards what loves them. Reason Icebox and Haven. Okay. So we're making changes in the map pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Sick, getting better on every game he plays. Is just that kid's looking better and better on Omen. All right. So that's wait.
You're not convincing our producer.
wait, no. Okay, Sick is getting better week by week. All right, Can Pecky, he's learning. He's got, they have to integrate him into the team more. He's a good player, but they got to work on integrating him. That's where Rawkus comes in.
What is there to integrate when you're joining Sentinels? You don't fucking have any set strats or anything anyways. You just throw the regular shit.
Exactly.
That's all you do.
He's going to be integrated into the strats that they're currently developing with Rawkus.
In a week, they're going to go from a team with no strats
Well,
to a
it's
team with
5
all
weeks.
strats.
That's
It's
the good
5
thing.
weeks.
We're talking
5
end
weeks.
of the groups.
5 weeks of improvement.
I don't think in 5 weeks they will be a team with god tier strats that is fucking dominating their competition.
I don't think
Luminosity has
they'll
been
be
a team
either.
together. They have shown that they actually have strategies and their player quality is really high. Brandon Dog is on this team and he's really good at Valorant. And I think that they have proven that they can be a team to compete high. They've already beaten Sentinels in the qualifiers. At very least put them above Sentinels because of that.
Listen,
you haven't sold me.
I'll allow you to put LG
You haven't
there,
sold me.
but I believe in the Sentinels fourth.
Okay. I mean, I could see it happening. I'm not saying it's impossible.
I think
But
it could
coming
happen, but
into
this
this
is
event-
talking like right now, what we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing that you're not realizing is that Wyatt traded one of his eyeballs, sucking from a mystical lake, and now he can see the future like Odin. So, Balla, what do you think about in terms of EG Sentinels? Should Sentinels be in 6th right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think what I saw from EG throughout the qualifier was more impressive than what I saw from Sentinels, and there is actually room to grow. And now that they have their second attempts and with new players as well, this team has an actual ceiling that I can see them going towards, whereas Sentinels, they're just getting closer to their floor.
Very sad. Let's move on to Group A then. Do you maintain Guard's position at the top? There is no real good reason to bump them down further than that from evidence that we've seen in like recent games or anything. But I think we were fairly unanimous in the thought that they are unlikely to be the best team in North America again. It was, a hot streak, an awesome like honeymoon period. It's more likely to settle down somewhere a little more reasonable. Top 4, top 3, something like that. Are you just de facto giving them the number 1 spot in this group, though? Because there isn't really anyone else that...
That's the problem. I don't think there's anyone
above
else that you can really put above them right now.
I think you can argue that XZ has the potential to beat them out, but I think if you're just like, if you're grounded in reality, no hopium, no copium, nothing being huffed. If you're just looking at the facts, the logic, I think there's no reason to bump them down.
Okay. None of the funny, by the way. This is a serious segment.
I do...
Yeah.
No funny.
I'm going to provide no real reasoning, facts, or insight with this statement that I'm about to deliver. It's pure feeling.
Why do you make my job so hard?
But I think XSET might finish in first. I just have a feeling.
I'll tell you what, I've got the
The
feeling
momentum
the
has
other way.
been building.
I
for
feel like
XZ
it's
win.
complete the opposite. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Really?
I've got
I don't know why. I'm not going to state any facts, but
This is a good discussion. You feel one thing with no facts, and I feel the
Guys,
other way with no
guys,
facts.
Please,
This says a lot
stop arguing
about
with no facts.
society.
I have facts. I have logic here. I'm ready to deliver it to you. Nerd Street Summer Championship 2022 Philadelphia LAN. XZ won that. They beat Cloud9 Academy. They beat Oxygen Academy. They beat Drexel
True.
University. Look at the other side.
True.
Guard. They went to Iceland. They beat no one.
True.
They bombed out.
True.
Except one land win. Fucking guard 0 on liners. They're not winning this.
That's actually so true, though.
Just that segment is a perfect example of why taking the results of tournaments needs to be needs some context applied. Fucking hell.
Put him up at 1.
That killed me. Okay, no, fuck off.
No, we can leave the guard. We can leave the guard
because
number 1.
I'm going to sell you a hot take that Exet are finishing 4th in this group. Exet are going to have the 4th curse, but for the group. Here's the reason I'm on this train, though, of Exet slipping, is that I feel like overall, we've got a decent crop of teams in Group A. It should be really competitive. You got New 100 Thieves looking good. NRG with Ethan looking strong. TSM are retooling, back on the right path. Ghost have been going well for a while. You're talking about psychological bonus or whatever of getting over the barrier. I didn't really follow earlier, but yeah, I think that's it. But to me, Exet didn't demonstrate anything since adding Cryo that actually gave me a foundation to believe in them improving for the future. They did not show me any foundational improvement. They showed me better performance from Cryo than they had with their former roster, but they didn't actually show me the really disciplined CT sides. They didn't show me extremely good adaptations on their attack halves. They didn't show me amazing execute. Like, they had certain pieces, but it never got all put together in a way that really justifies them being in the tier 1, like actual could win tier 1.
Yeah,
so
there was a flash at the open qualifier stage when they made it in to group stage, and then they just didn't show anything past that. Remember, we were talking about how like they were probably the most overrated team after the open qualifier, or at least that was how I thought of them. They still went pretty deep in playoffs, but I fully agree.
They still finished 4th, and they almost beat Cloud9. I just don't think, even if they've shown issues, I don't think, since we've seen so little of them since last challenge, it's a similar argument to the guard, that we don't have a justification to bump them down below NRG, below TSM. I don't think those other teams have proved yet that they can compete, that they can be up there. I think they have the potential, and I think that is clear.
But it's not necessarily about needing to prove it, though. I just think that you just look at the potential and how you actually expect.
But I think Exet still has that potential. I don't.
Right, no, I agree. I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think that they're gonna change their level much. I think it might maybe decrease slightly because what we're talking about everybody else basically getting better while they haven't really improved foundationally yet. But I think you could maybe make an argument for like 100 Thieves, the way they played through this qualifier, potentially placing higher than them.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at like the
well.
opponent
Maybe
caliber
not
that we've
TSM.
seen. Like, I just like, I see the potential. I see the moment where Exet could have a bad placement in this group, but still, their performance at the end, their performance in that playoff, they fixed a lot of the issues they were showing throughout the group. They made consistent improvements in a way throughout that group stage and had a really good playoff run, and were showing some quality. I think
Was it consistent improvements? Because I remember them.
Yeah, okay. They had some trolling in the groups. They had some trolling in the groups, but I think once they got to playoffs, we saw that improvement kind of pay off.
Listen, I went for the hot take, the juicy quip of them finishing 4th in the group. I just think they're going to slide. I don't mind rating them a 2nd because they do have the most, like tenure of all of the teams here. But I think it's much more likely they trend down. If we're going to look at a 3rd position, though, if assuming we keep things basic Barry and put Exet at 2nd, which is the team that you feel most confident about of the rest? I think for me, it's either a punt on 100 Thieves based on their improvement so far, or it's NRG to me. I think both of those teams have different reasons going for them. One, you're kind of extrapolating their rate of improvement, and one is just they're so far showing a pretty good level.
I would go with 100 Thieves personally. I think I would put 100 Thieves in 3rd, and I think that they have the potential to finish in 2nd. I feel that it's unlikely both Exet and the Guard would slip enough that a new team could overtake both of them, but I could see, 100 Thieves being able to get the win against one of those two teams and potentially even finishing in 2nd. But I think 3rd is a pretty reasonable ending point for them. I think that they, as you said, have the rapid improvement going for them at the moment.
I'm going to make the argument the other way. I think that NRG, I think what you're saying about 100 Thieves is true, and I think it's pretty close between these two for like who we should like preseason rate is third or fourth. But NRG's run was just really solid throughout that first open qualifier. It was clear that the practice had been put in. I thought their executes looked really good. I thought Ethan's integration into the team was solid. They took down V1, they took down Knights. I mean, they're playing really respectable opponents and dealing with them, I think, fairly handily. And I think that considering that they've had like 2 weeks off since they've played last, coming in towards these group stages, ready to just get going, I imagine that rate of improvement has continued. And I think there's a world, again, where they could beat one of those two teams where, similar to 100 Thieves, there's a world where they could be up there as number 2, number 3 once everything is said and done through this group stage.
I don't think that's unreasonable, but also the teams that they beat, neither of them qualified. Yeah, I mean, they are big names from stage 1. Both of those teams were decent teams to be able to get wins over. But it's...
Do you rate the competition 100 Thieves beat much higher? Accrue, New York FU, Sonics, Team Rekaroo?
Not significantly.
I think it's pretty much like the same caliber.
Yeah, I think it's the same caliber though. That's what I mean by that. Is that I don't think that NRG did anything incredible by making it through. Yeah, the manner in which they did, not dropping a map, and to be fair though, they were behind a significant portion of the time, even against version 1. And they had to battle back through and rely on a lot of mistakes coming out from V1 as well. So I wasn't blown away with what they're doing. I'm more siding with 100 Thieves. I think, in my world, I would even have 100 Thieves pegged above XSET because I think there's going to be an XSET slip. But listen, let's not go that crazy. Let's not go that crazy, Kurt. We've already had the XSET debate. But I would be down with 100 Thieves in third here and NRG fourth. So
yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Is there any argument about TSM Ghost? Are there any TSM Ghost believers that think that we're underrating them? They're going to make it through the playoffs. Vansilli, are you in the building?
I mean, I think both teams are good, and I think they have the ability to potentially beat any of the other teams in the group. I don't know if that's
I think that's a bridge too far.
Claim.
Honestly, I don't think.
I feel like
it all depends on what the form Guard and XSET are.
Yeah, it's just
in.
because we don't know what the Guard and XSET are looking like.
But if TSM or Ghost played 100 Thieves like tomorrow, I think there's a chance that they win those games. And no.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily favorites, but I think that they have an okay enough chance at winning the games that I think they'll have a lot of close games in this group, but I just don't think that they're going to make it out.
This group could be one where you see a lot of tiebreakers though and stuff as well. I feel like round robin format, Group A, everyone's going to be taking games off everybody, and there's going to be some you're in the final week and the Guard might not qualify. Some weird shit like we had that last stage with Optic, didn't we? It was like the final week and Optic may not have qualified if certain results happened.
Yeah.
Had to beat Knights.
Yeah. So okay, let's actually put our money where our mouth is, though. We're going to make some large $1,000 predictions. I haven't told any of them yet, but I have access to their bank accounts. Let's go into the first game of the week. Week 1 predictions. The Guard to Gerd against 100 Thieves. Is anyone on the 100 Thieves train? Yes, they are! Okay, Wyatt and Balla have gone with 100 Thieves to win this Week 1 matchup. You're catching the Guard in a period where they're coming straight back to online play. 100 Thieves are not fully geared up yet. We've already heard all the 100 Thieves hopium from Wyatt. So, Balla, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a little bit from me too. I just think that this team has a lot going for them. They have a bunch of young, hungry guys that have failed a lot in the past. And this is another chance for them to come out swinging very hard against a team that is a contender, right? So I think they'll be motivated. I don't necessarily think that this prediction means that I think the team is fully better than them or that they'll place higher or anything like that. But I do think that this specific opening week match is good conditions. And the Guard right now, they're still trying. Well, I obviously we don't know any of the mentality or anything going into it, but they just came off of a massive loss, and it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how the map pool matches up. They get to ban Breeze. They're playing on comfort zones of the icebox. Both teams are pretty good at. Split, the Guard actually have somewhere towards the weaker end of their pool. Icebox. Wait, did I already say Icebox?
Yes.
Yeah. What was the other?
Icebox will
what's the other
probably
map?
get played.
Then
100 Thieves are okay with playing Haven.
Guard like playing.
Something
Fracture is the other map that I was going to mention.
Fracture,
Would be
yeah.
fun between the two teams as well to actually get a feel for where 100 Thieves' good maps are in a pool against a team that we have, top tier expectations from.
The other thing that we haven't talked about at all, and I think the guard will be pretty good at handling this over time, actually probably right out the gate as well, is the new patch. I mean, this is completely, there's Jett nerfs, there's Sova nerfs, there's Chamber, or are they probably not going to play with the Chamber nerf?
I don't think it'll be with Chamber nerf. Is Fade in play yet?
But Fade will be in play.
Fade
Yeah,
will be
I
there.
think she will be.
There's a lot. If there's any team to bring it out, it might be guard.
I just really lean towards the guard in this matchup because they've just had time. They lose at Iceland, they come home, they're like, shit, that sucks. But MC fucking sends them off to their military boot camp. Team focuses up. They have time to start scrimming on the brand new patch. Just get ready, get prepared for this matchup. They know they're playing 100 Thieves. I think guard is gonna come back from their tough moment at Iceland, realize that, hey, that sucks, but you got to take losses as a team, especially considering how young they are, bounce back. And I think they should be able to win this match.
Okay, let's go into the next game then. This one's an intriguing one. It's LG Sentinels. We were debating where we were putting them in the rankings overall.
I thought it would be
10 believers.
I thought I would be on my own.
I thought I'd be on my own.
Yeah, same. I thought I'd be on my own. So for any audio listeners, that's the two idiots at the actual studio itself, myself and Wyatt, picking Sentinels to win this game. And reasons?
Well, first of all, I love 10. Okay. That's first and foremost.
My reasoning essentially boils down to Sentinels are on a hot streak right now, and if they're going to get wins in this group, it's against LG, EG, at times like this when they actually feel like stuff is clicking. I feel like Dapper's on form, Tens is on form. Yeah, it's also looking like some of the worst Valorant Sentinels have played as an org, but Sentinels' lowest is still pretty similar to some other teams' average performances. So I'm taking the punt. It's an upset result happening in Group B where Sentinels win.
No. Just no. Sentinels has been playing such bad Valorant. I've been so uninspired by what I've watched out of them. They just had a change. I don't think they've implemented it well. They still don't look like they have a lot of real stretch. They have great players, but my faith is low that they'll win in this matchup. Luminosity have proved that they can put in the work, put in the preparation, and beat teams that they're punching up ahead of. B-Dog is nuts. The player caliber on this roster is really good, and I think they'll be able to shut down Sen.
Yep. I also think that they have just the weak advantage of qualifying first. That really, really is useful going into groups when it's a completely new patch.
Let me hit you with this counterpoint. Sentinels are always amazing to adapt to the new patches and the new meta
That's
way to
bullshit.
That's
Bullshit.
just
That is
wrong.
No, I agree. I think Josh is spitting
Remember
facts.
when they were running Phoenix on Haven?
Yeah.
Ken
That
Pecky's
was
going to come
meta,
out on
actually, back
Fade.
Now that now they're going to play
You're
Fade.
not ready.
You're not ready for the Ken Pecky Fade.
not ready.
God, they're snoozing. They're snoozing on Sentinels.
They are snoozing, but I actually think
low key
there's a
though
good
the
chance.
patch hurts them. Well, not necessarily this patch, but Sova nerf. I mean, what is Shazam? Is Shazam gonna continue? I mean,
Shazam's going back to Jett. Double duelist time, baby. Let's go.
but there's no real. We haven't outside of Shazam playing Breach. Like, there's nothing really that we've seen from him.
Shaz has been streaming a lot of Fade. Believe me. Believe
really?
me. No, I don't know.
They don't stream. They don't scrim. They just stream. They lose.
Let's get into our next game then. This one should be a fun one. Super cool. You've got FaZe in red hot form taking on the best team in the world, winners of Masters Reykjavik, Optic Gaming, and we've actually got an upset punt here. Live in the studio, it's Wyatt River again taking the upset.
Did you just predict every upset?
On paper, 3 upsets in a row here, I would argue.
Yeah, I feel good about all of them, honestly. I'm going to keep it a stack. I feel good about all of them.
Okay, talk to me about this one then, because there is sometimes this like Super Bowl, what's it called? Super Bowl hangover, where a team, they win, and then they take it a bit easy, foot off the gas as they get back into it. It is just group stage. It is just, they're probably going to make it through into playoffs anyway. They don't need to be playing at their best right now.
Foot off the gas, and FaZe are a fucking semi-truck going 120 miles an hour down a hill. They are zooming. That is kind of, that is an element of the theory for sure. FaZe are just in pretty unbelievable form at the moment individually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're in sick form. I think we haven't seen Optic since they won Masters, which obviously makes them the best team in the world. So, tough to argue that they're going to lose the first game they come back. But I think, last stage they started a little slow and then they got into the swing of things.
That was off a massive Christmas break rather than just prepping for the biggest tournament in the world, making sure everything's squeaky clean.
And then new meta. It's all out the window. It's all out the window, Josh. It's all out the window.
All right, who's the Fade player on FaZe that makes it happen?
Poach.
Poach
Poach
picks
is
it up?
picking up the Fade. Yep. No, I do think there is some realistic upset potential here for FaZe, though. The players are in really good form. Ascent is going to be played unless Optic decide to ban it, but Optic like playing that map, and FaZe have been crazy on it. So I would assume that is likely going to make it into the pool. I think that's a good one for FaZe. I mean, that's just about it. That's the gist of it.
Reasonable. Let's move things along. Next game, Exet take on Ghost Gaming. And, okay, no upsets spreaded here. You didn't go for the fourth in a row?
Set. No. I mean, no, Exet are winning the group.
Listen to this logic. You're right.
Listen to this, Josh. Exet, they're one of the teams in NA that have been proactive with making roster moves at good times, picking up young talent.
Yep.
Okay.
Did they do that for this one?
No, because everything's going right in practice. That's why.
Oh, that's the theory.
Think about it that way, huh?
Okay, I like
Blew
it.
your
I
mind.
like it. Well,
Smart. Jesus.
things are going right in practice for Ghost as well. I want to see the Scrim Gods unleashed. Let's take a look at our next game. It's NRG playing against TSM. I don't even really know what the upset result here would be. I guess TSM. And everyone agrees, apparently, because we all went with NRG. I think this should be a pretty close game, though. Some entertainment factor, for sure, right?
NRG look demonic, but TSM have CLOUT. Let's see who wins.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
That's a good narrative.
Yeah,
Final-
Let's move on.
Final game. Again, don't really see anyone spreading the upset here. It's Cloud9 taking on Evil Geniuses. And yeah, all four of us are going with C9. So it definitely does feel just like C9, Optic, locks for the group. I suppose you did pred against Optic, though, so... No.
I mean, Cloud9 is going to crumble again. They're not making out of the group.
No, Cloud9 are back.
Not
I think Cloud9 are coming back with a vengeance.
Where'd you just pull that hot take from?
I'm just saying words, man. I don't know. We needed some drama. It's Drama Monday, and there was too long without drama, so...
Yeah, I'm not really into Pokemon, so...
Well, do you want drama? Let's go to Europe.
Love that region.
Yeah.
I love Europe.
Okay. Europe doesn't have anything going on particularly. It doesn't have big open qualifiers. It has VRL tournaments.
Yep.
I mean, Big lost their spot, right? SMB lost their spot, and
Big lost their IGL.
Yeah, Big lost their IGL. Got B going back to CS to be a coach, right? Something like that. Yeah, and there's a new team that's going to be in the group stage, but the roster moves that we want to talk about first are Fnatic sign who, and literally who, because they've got Alpha, who's a apparently super cracked player, and then they've got so Turkish player is going to be filling in essentially for Magnum's position and is apparently nuts. Not that I know anything about him, but he's apparently nuts.
Marker edited in.
Yeah,
that was so good.
They went for the full meme edit on this video. I mean, just
Fuck.
Yeah,
they went for the full meme reveal.
I didn't understand what was going on in this video particularly.
Anyhow,
I'm gonna be honest with you, didn't get it. And then I still don't quite understand why they've said Enzo instead of Fearoff.
He's hit the rebrand.
Change.
Is he actually changing his name?
Done the rebrand. Yeah,
right. Because that confused me when I was watching this. But yeah, it is just Fee, right? So
yeah.
Okay,
Enzo's the
Enzo.
community manager for Splitgate.
What?
I think the guy's name Enzo, who's the community manager for Splitgate.
Oh wow, Fnatic signed him.
A different guy. It has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying words because I don't really know much about Europe. I don't know this guy. He's Turkish. He's probably really good at the game. His clips look sick. I looked at his VLR and he did well in on teams that I didn't really know who they were. So the talent scouts at Fnatic, did they do it again?
Yeah. So yeah, Althea is supposed to be their big firepower upgrade. Fearoth, former IGL, gonna be in there playing Sova, presumably like Breach, bit of Sage for them as well. This is also Mystic moving to Flex and Boaster moving to full-time Smokes. So this is going to be a big shift up. There's only Durka that's going to be on the same role as he was before. And for some reason, I mean, Fnatic just keep doing this, man. They just keep doing it.
I do respect the willingness of the Fnatic, whether it be like Boaster or Mini, the staff behind Fnatic. I respect their willingness to take risks on upcoming talent that they think have potential. And it has worked out for them previously. I do still feel some sadness in my heart for Magnum being removed from this roster. But at the same time, I do understand their perspective in needing to bring on someone who's going to play more chamber potentially, bring more firepower to the team. Because I had referenced earlier that when we were talking about 100 Thieves, that Optic and Loud were the two teams at Iceland who, by the numbers, were the least reliant on their duelist. Yeah. And there's a graphic that I sent Kurt that he can pull up in a minute that it actually illustrates the exact opposite for Fnatic.
Yeah.
They were by far the team at Iceland who were the most reliant on their duelist, that being Durka,
to have was like just insane.
Yeah, to have a really high ACS. So that does lead them to needing more fragging across the board. They need to be less reliant on just Durka to, provide that level of frags.
I hate the fact that Fnatic recycle their rosters so often, though, because they have such excellent identification of hidden gems. They find these diamonds in the rough with such consistency, but they don't actually develop them once they get them on the roster. It feels like they stagnate once they get into Fnatic. And Fnatic themselves, I think...
Because of what, Brave? I'm confused about who you're talking about here.
I'm talking about Magnum, and then they didn't give Brave very long whatsoever.
Was Magnum not on the team for a year?
Yeah, he was on the team for a year, and I don't think he got any better than when he first joined them. And I think also Durka is one of those players that has...
Okay, so the argument is not that you're saying they should keep the players and continue trying to develop them. You're saying that once they get there, they're not getting better.
Yes, once they actually join the team, it seems like Fnatic's focus is on the macro strategy and very little on actually making the individual improvements to get those players to be elite in those roles. I think even for people like Mystic, who did look at times during the group stage and what he did in the playoffs to be elite on smokes, it seems to fall to pieces as soon as a little piece of the puzzle is changed, or this time there was a fuck ton that changed, but even when I'm thinking previously about his Champions performance, it just fell off a cliff. When he actually turned up to Champions, just the performances died. So it feels like this team gets talent and then isn't able to actually develop them into being consistent at delivering that impact round to round, map to map, tournament to tournament. And they're just going through the same cycle again, right here. They're just bringing in 2 new people, and they're probably going to have really good results off the bat, develop to a point where they get top 4, and then they realize, oh, no, we're not going to win immediately. We'll recycle again. I don't get it. I feel like this team has so much potential to actually win.
Yeah, I think that what you're talking about, where they can't develop people, might be actually a consequence of them scouting so well, right? Getting these hidden gems, and just because of that, they take a lot more work than less hidden gems.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
And potentially not having the actual experience or structure or staff to do that sort of work. But this is probably the least hidden gem out of any of the players that they've signed in recent memory, because this is a guy. So to demystify the who part of it, this is a guy who came from the VRL circuit, right? So the first real big VRL signing since the system's been introduced from Turkey. They won their region, and then they went on to almost beat promoted into actual challengers, and he stomped in a lot of their games. Like, it was very obvious that this was one of the most promising players out of the promotion tournament. So this is somebody who just fits perfectly and performed recently at a high level in that tournament. So it's much less that. I don't disagree with the rest of the argument though, and they need to make changes to support their young players. But also, I think that it's crunch time. I mean, they have to. They did poorly here at Reykjavik. They did very poorly, and they're not going to have necessarily the roster that they can win champions with, and that's the goal, right?
Well, I mean, they also were playing with 2 subs at Reykjavik, and including their best player, the most carry player, being on the bench due to COVID. So it's never a tournament that you could ever take serious data from in the first place. And I'm concerned that might have been it. I think even in terms of firepower across the board, I'm not even sure that this is a major upgrade because, yeah, I mean, you've got Boaster in a position where he's not playing flex, so he's not, we tend to think of the flex position as one where you're getting a lot of those kills, which Boaster wasn't. But you've lost Bravaf as well, who was a major portion of your fragging. I mean, outside of Durka, he was their second biggest fragger. And now you've got Alpha, who is going to be now probably your second biggest fragger, but from the Sentinel position. So it's not like they've just gone for star power across the board. I think Fearoth had a fantastic Masters Reykjavik, but again, that's with a team with 2 subs. And that doesn't mean you can pug it out and be good, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be good within the system afterwards. I'm just so confused, man.
Yeah, I did talk to Minnie a bit, and he was stating a lot that it's not necessarily like results based, the fact that they're making the change in the first place, but it's this was after we had our talk about the fact they're cutting Magnum, but it was more so long term, like what's the vision, how has he performed, these types of things that they're looking at, and I think that is a healthy thing to do.
One thing this is going to do too is put so much pressure on Durka to actually be the player coordinating those plays up at the front. Because what you had this season, the thing that made Fnatic so good, is that you had Boaster throwing all of the utility, most of the utility, to set up Durka to actually get all of those big kills. And if Mystic's in that position, Mystic has never been a player, in my opinion, that is like a taking those timings. He's always playing off other people. And so it's going to rely on Durka actually coming, setting up every play. And apparently Durka does a huge amount of that for the team anyway, but it just puts even more responsibility on Durka's shoulders, I think, the way that they've swapped up Boaster's positioning.
Could, but Enzo, I guess we should call him now, is potentially going to be adding a lot of that as well, right? And who knows how Alfie is at all in that regard.
Let's go on to talking EMEA playoffs. Which of these teams is actually going to make it through? So there haven't been many changes to EMEA. Like I said, it doesn't run an open qualifier system. It does promotion relegation from VRL, and there's only been one new team, right? There's only been a single new team added into the groups compared to last time. But you've got a different situation in terms of the form of the teams after Masters Reykjavik. And obviously these big roster moves too. So we're not talking who will make North American playoffs again. Already done that segment, but once Kurt spins it up, who are your favorites to actually make it out?
M3C, FPX.
Yep. Also, wasn't this was these groups were like partially decided by Twitch chat RNG?
What were they?
Wait, what?
It was like. This might be I might be getting trolled by my Twitch chat, but people in my chat were telling me that these groups were partially decided by Twitch chat, like RNG. They would pick like something with the random number generator, and then they would get slotted in somewhere, and then it would randomize which team was there. So
I mean, that's pretty fun if it was just RNG.
It wasn't pure RNG, but it was like listen. I don't know what the fuck is going on, okay? But
they did like a group show. I didn't watch it, but I saw that they posted that like it was like a live broadcasted thing for Zene where we have no idea who picked what and how.
Well, that was really straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring back up the graphic again. And Kurt, we've still got who will make North American playoffs down there. This is an NA podcast through and through. Right, so let's start with Group B again, because Balla, you've already given us one of them, Mech. Team Liquid, actually, I suppose, are the best performing team out of all of these in the group so far, because they got 4th in Stage 1 and then actually performed better when they made it to Masters Reykjavik. You're still on the Mech train, though?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Mech at 1. I'm meched up.
I too am meched up.
The Gambit team from CSGO got sold to Cloud9, right?
Cloud9.
Yeah.
And we still have no idea whether these players would be able to attend Masters 2. Right?
Correct.
And presumably there's something in the works there.
We'll buy them.
Just
Plat Chat will buy them.
The Plat Chat Mech. Yeah. What would you call the team? The Plat Chat?
I mean, that sounds
Plat
good.
Chat.
That sounds fucking
Pioneer.
cool as hell.
Plat Chat Mech. That sounds pretty badass, actually.
All right. So put
out a giant
M3C
robot.
at number 1 then in Group B.
Yeah, they're
And
number
then
1.
you've got to put Liquid there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they looked literally better at Masters Reykjavik, and if they stick to that kind of game plan and don't just try and run Fade on every map, like Scream playing Fade every map,
They're going to do it.
they're
They're going to play Fade. on
Not gonna
every
lie, I
map.
like this ranking right here.
I think
like
this is
shit.
good.
I do too, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that seems actually fairly reasonable, assuming that Mech continue to be really good. So
I think
Group
the
A.
only argument would be like Liquid Guild, you know. But
yeah,
even then,
but honestly, Guild didn't even look that impressive towards the end of their run.
Yeah.
So I do like that Guild team, though. I hope that they continue to improve on what they've got. Give them the cold Menta juice. Put FPX at the top, though. FPX, the team that...
Yep.
Yeah,
Get them up there where they belong.
Yeah,
Number 1.
All the EMEA fans
Long
are like,
have we awaited.
the uncrowned kings. I don't know what you call them.
The uncrowned kings.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you call FPX.
It's more just like fucking like Game of Thrones references. The man pulling the strings behind the curtain hasn't given them
really
the
is.
opportunity, but now they'll thrive.
Yeah.
I've waited so long for this, Josh. So long for FPX to be number 1.
Do we think
where
G2
they
number
belong.
2 with the changes to Fnatic and their performance?
I don't
I'm
really
kind of
know.
feeling G2 number
What
2.
about Akend? Should they not be in
with
the conversation?
with Monster? Who's their 5th?
Monster and Vac.
Vac. Yeah, Vac. I mean, I definitely think they will be in the conversation. Their previous performances, they just looked kind of static. They hadn't really done much. But apparently Zeke is feeling really good now. I mean, I've seen his tweets. Like all the good juice seems to be flowing, whereas he had to take the break for his mental health previously. Yeah, maybe Ascend should be kind of number 2 considering G2's rough performance at Reykjavik, but I kind of feel like G2 are just going to continue to be decent. And if Ascend and Fnatic are looking a little shaky because of their new additions, G2 should just by default take the number 2 position.
I think it should be G2 Ascend Fnatic.
Why are you not an Ascend believer?
I don't know. I just like I think they have potential. Obviously, they're slotting a new player in. They still obviously have the core that was once like considered like best in the world, and they're really solid. But I think that G2, even if they took those losses to what it was Loud and it was Paper Rex at Masters, I still think this G2 team was looking really good. Stage 1, they were frying. They were even pushing some maps. Took that map off FPX. I'm still on board that I think G2 will continue to be good, and I think that it was just a one-off that they did end up losing out early at Masters. I want to be an Ascend believer. I just haven't seen it yet.
Let me hit you with the other side of the debate. G2, Nucky had a god tournament. Not going to carry them through again. Mixwell, his chamber, it's dropping off. There's no way he's going to be able to compete with Ascend. Ascend's fragging power should be fucking phenomenal now. I mean, Keyless was not hidden. I mean, he was just not hidden for the last 6 months, pretty much. And now they've got some people that are very talented riflers on the team. And that is always where Ascend have been able to thrive in the past. They've had like enough loose ideas to be able to put extremely talented players in position and dominate people that don't have the fragging power across their team. And I think the G2 are going to fall straight into that. If you're looking for a team that Ascend are going to try and snack on, it's going to be G2 now, because they don't have that incredible ability to just duel them across the board. It's only really Nookie and Hoodie that are going to be on the same caliber, in my opinion. And I think Ascend might just waltz over the rest of their players, even if G2 have some really nice ideas.
I think it's really close, but I'm down for Ascend number 2.
Okay, I'm on the Ascend train.
I believe in Ascend. I believe in VAC. I'd consider myself an average VAC enjoyer. I've enjoyed watching him play Valorant previously.
Are there any Fnatic
I'd like to
believers?
enjoy it again.
Any Fnatic believers in the house?
I believe in Fnatic's ability to make it in 4th and qualify.
I see a hand up in the corner. Balla.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it's either they're above G2 here, and I kind of feel like that could be the case, but I don't think I can convince you guys that is true.
My G2 stocks aren't low enough.
I just believe the Fnatic is still like they still have Durka, man, and this guy potentially could make a case for top 3 in the world, top 1 in the world. He's really, really good. And I don't see him, after what happens with his quarantine situation and flying to Iceland and not being able to play, like, I don't see him coming out apathetic. I see him coming out with a vengeance. And I think that's just nothing but good. So
I could see it. I want to see Durka come out and continue to fucking dominate. And the entire squad keep tweeting at us, top 21 player. It was so long ago. It was so long ago. This Focus team is the new team across EMEA challenges. London United picked up essentially like a partnership with OG, so that is the same org. It's just blended now with OG.
Yeah, it's so blended that they're like, fuck it, just put the logos together. I mean, just put them both in the logo.
Yeah.
We're not even going to make a new logo.
Yeah. But this Focus team is going to make waves. I think they're not going to finish in 6th. This is a team that looked...
They're going to make waves. They're going to finish in 5th.
No, well, the thing is, I actually think...
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think there's a world in which Focus might even end up in, like, 3rd, and you see one of the teams like G2 bomb out or something.
I could believe that.
You know, there's going to be a team... I think one of these top 4 teams that we've put in there is going to bomb out, and Focus is going to take the top spot. If you look at any of the recent Focus games, they're fucking rolling. Yugi is popping.
Yeah, he is actually. His stats are fucking bananas.
They are bananas ultra bonkers, and he hasn't played against anyone that can play at his level yet. So if you are thinking about like where's he even going to hit,
you convinced me. Take G2 out of top 6.
Out of the top 6? You're going to knock down the PRL?
Yep, take him out of the top 6.
This Focus team, I'm very confident is going to be in the same tier as the... You know, like, if we were going to put tier breaks in... Oh, fuck, we can put... Oh, no, that would be silly, actually, because there's already a tier break in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But there would be a tier break underneath FPX, because they are fantastic. Don't do it, Curtis. It's going to confuse the viewers.
Copy-paste it, change it color.
This is fine.
Yeah, this is fine. And then there would be an actual tier break from the 2nd and 5th teams. So Ascend, Focus, Fnatic, G2, to me, all in the same tier. Any of them could finish anywhere in that group. And then London United, I don't have as much confidence in.
You mean OG London United?
Unfortunately, one of those top 5 teams can't make it through. So I don't know who.
Honestly,
you've convinced me.
Put Focus at 1. Come on there. Come on there.
No.
You have kind of convinced me of the G2.
I wasn't selling down on G2. I mean, I guess I did a little bit.
You did a little bit, and then it just activated something in my brain. I'm like, you know what?
You just
Nookie was having the run
teams.
of his life.
So was Durka, though.
Yeah, but Durka has the run of his life a lot.
So does Nookie. Nookie's been a consistently great player for longer than Durka has. They're both going to... Listen, Nookie and Durka are both probably still going to be really fucking good. The problem is, are either of the teams around them? But I mean, holy fuck, look at that. 1.21 KPR in 3 games on
Jacob
Neon.
Hansen is winning Valorant.
Yeah, I mean...
Yugi was the player that played for...
G2 are making it.
Yugi played for Astralis, right? In in CS, but it wasn't the Astralis that went dumb, mega stupid hard.
It was like dog shit Astralis. that he played.
Less impressive than the legendary one.
Legendary team, but you know,
Liquid should have got him when they had the chance. They should have got him when they had the chance.
Oh, that's the player that they were trialing as an AWPer way back when they were thinking of benching Eccles, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's some
honestly
ancient history.
I think
for
Switch,
you.
Focus, and Fnatic, and I'm happy.
I can live with that. I'm just telling you. I'm preaching the Focus Bucks, and I have questions about Fnatic. I'm sure Dirk is going to still pop off though.
I think the original ranking we had is still fine, and I think that's probably the case going into this. But it's good to have that context of Focus potentially being a team.
But Balla, think about how smart we look when Focus does well. If we put him high on the
Think about how stupid. Who cares how we look?
No, I care. I care. I need to be able to form a tweet. Our predictions were right.
Yeah.
Focus is the next big thing.
I really do feel bad for G2 though, rating them that low, because I seriously think that entire tier from 2nd to 5th, you can put the teams in any fucking order you like, juggle them, mix them around, put them anywhere.
What if we put them both 4th? We put OG 6 and we put them both 4th.
How are we going to do that with this format?
Hold on. I just had a fucking brain blast though.
Brain blast me.
This is yuck. Okay. Last time in EU, only 3 teams made it through. Is that still the case?
Oh, fuck yeah. That's probably still the case, isn't it?
That's still the case, or is it 4 this time?
No, it's almost certainly 3. Dude, fucking North American analysts.
Can we confirm
these
that?
idiots?
Can we confirm that?
It's 3. It's 100% 3. I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
Oh, that changes everything.
Okay, wait, bring the graphic back up. What does that actually change?
Bring the graphic back up.
Okay, it doesn't change anything in Group B. I still feel good about Group B.
Yeah.
Group A, bruh. What do we do there?
I mean,
put them together.
Just start stacking them.
I mean, fuck me. I have no idea.
G2 aren't making it. G2 aren't making it. I don't care if we put them 4th or 5th.
Yeah, they're just not making it.
G2 aren't making it.
Reasons I can't explain, they're just not going to make it.
Focus is most likely to maybe upset and get in, so put Focus 4, G2 5. I'm happy.
But Focus aren't. Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah, okay, ship it. I seriously think that is an impossible group to predict. Because it's not like the North American groups where you've seen half of them in open quals already. We haven't seen these teams play in so long. I mean, apart from Focus, which is maybe why I've got some recency bias.
My recency bias?
100% confidence and fucking 0% confidence.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, so we properly cocked that one up. Let's move on to our next segment that's a bit more our speed, shall we? It's a skin review! Yay! Clapping monkey!
I love skins.
Titanmail.
Titanmail.
Are you a Sigma male? Are you an alpha male? I'm a Titan male.
I'm a Titanmail. I haven't seen these skins at all.
What do they look like?
Skin review.
Have you...
G2 Focus. Yeah, hit the rankings button, Kurt. Just start. Click buttons.
It's on fire.
Have you bought any skins since the comic book pack?
No, I was going to buy the tree, and then I decided, actually, even after on the show I'd said it was a cop, it wasn't a cop.
Wasn't a
you
cop.
were right about that.
Yeah.
You were right about that.
Hold on.
Is fire. The tree vandal is not.
Listen, the trees are amazing, but they're not good enough for me to drop $70 on, which is what I decided.
Like bad Reaver to me.
It's like very Reaver, very Forsaken-esque.
It's like a mix of Forsaken and RGX. With no animations.
Do you like the RGX skins?
Yeah, no animations on
you like
that.
the stat track skins?
I think the RGX is cool.
No, because it lets me know that I'm performing poorly.
I picked up an RGX skin for the first time in a game where I was 3 and 13.
The mace is a cop.
And I got
the mace is a cop.
What is this thing?
Yo!
Whoa!
Ooh!
Dude, it spins.
It's like a fantasy. You know, I can pretend that I'm an orc.
Looks like a fucking hammer that the Skeleton King in Diablo 3 has, bro. That shit looks fire.
Yeah, it doesn't look good enough for me to cop, though. Is there anything better than the than the knife?
Wait.
Can I make it not
What if
like
the next
pitch yellow?
agent has jet knives that look like that? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What? Oh, that's the mace in the middle. So what is it?
Yep.
It's Bucky,
Ares?
Bucky, Ares, Vandal, Frenzy, and a knife.
Yeah. I don't think it's a cop. I think the mace is pretty cool,
Not
but
my
the rest
style.
are certainly not a cop.
Yeah, it's a bit too like, I am the Dragonborn edgy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks like it's about to go to a convention in like a Skyrim cosplay.
It's just not my
Brian would
vibe, Josh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What is your vibe?
My vibe? I got like the Sentinels of Light, the blurple one, the you know what I mean? The purple one, purple Sentinels of Light Vandal, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then like I got a little RGX just in case, you know what I mean?
Just in case you're doing well.
And then I got like oh wait, hold on. I got kills, and then I got like the couple of I got my Valorant Go Ghost, Valorant Go Classic.
What is the Valorant Go? What are
It's a
those?
little anime one.
It's a little anime Sage one on the Ghost, and a little anime Viper on the Classic. You know what I mean?
I don't think I even saw that one.
It's like the 3-day anime.
Listen, I got
The
the
Jet
rare
Kunai
exclusive
is Valorant Go.
Oh.
You know the little Jet Kunai that swings out? That's
Nope.
Valorant Go.
Nope, you're talking to a person that is utterly oblivious unless we do an active skin review. This is a drop for me, or whatever it's called, a not cop, a no, a not cop.
I'm standing by. I'm not copping. It's not my. I already own a Reaver. I don't need this.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
L skin.
but I don't think the mace is L.
The mace is fucking sick.
No, the
like,
Is
mace
it a
is-
W
yeah.
skin or an L skin? What are we
Would
making,
you-
guys?
I think
Is the
this bundle
mace
relies on whether or not the title is cool.
is only the mace a cop for you, Balla? Are you going to be wielding the? No.
No, it's not even.
I would
cop.
consider copping the mace.
No, I mean, you
like
just
if I
can't
like
upgrade it.
if I'm feeling like really like sad one day, I might just do it.
Yeah, that's a good reason to spend your money. I'm sad, and this will make me happy. I'll spend my money on my video game pixels. I can run around with my mace. Sad.
You know what makes me happy?
New skins.
Wyatts.
Oh,
Goddamn weekly award.
oh, I didn't see you there. Time for Wyatt's weekly award and dinner.
That's some good chili.
This week, you're not going to expect who I'm giving the award to. And I swear to God, it's not tens. It's not
Please
tens.
not send this dog.
It's
Not
not
tens,
tens.
dog.
Derek.
No. This week, I'm going to be giving the weekly award to Potter, coach of EG, for now back-to-back group stages, having coached EG through the through two qualifiers, being able to make it in both qualifiers with two rosters that are not, filled with the renowned players, crazy skill all over the place. I mean, they do have crazy skill, but it's from
Understated.
yeah, understated.
She big girl kissers.
It's from
What more can you say?
exactly. It's just some effective roster building. Both times that have led that team to the group stage, and I think it's a pretty impressive feat. It's just a solid team that has performed well so far this year. People kind of doubted them, I think, both times to make it. I mean, they weren't really in the conversation to make it again, and they showed up in a big way. They qualified in stage 1 as well. So just some good consistency on the team with players that, maybe they don't get as much attention as they deserve, but, are on a well-constructed machine, a well-constructed team.
Yeah.
So that is the weekly award for this week.
There's the weekly award. You're right. I didn't expect it. Why didn't Sentinels just sign Potter?
I mean, why didn't Sentinels sign 9 mil? I mean,
Well, listen.
guys, can we fit in another Sentinels
The
topic at
buyout
the
was
end
too
of
The
the
high.
conversation's dead. The conversation's dead now. Rawkus has already signed. Listen, we're just happy for them. We're just happy for them. We're going to watch them meme on us putting them in 6th, and they're gonna, they're gonna be back. Okay, that does it for episode 90. Join us in 10 weeks for episode 100. If you want to know when that is, you'll have to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Twitter, won't you? Otherwise,
got him there.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you won't be able to count.
So you want me to transition it now?
No, it's all right. I'll talk for another while.
Right. What else you got, Josh?
What else have I got? Do you want to leave a comment? Tell me when last time you had chili. Tell me when. Tell me the last time you had a chili.
That's a good one.
And who cooked the chili the best?